Hello and welcome back to the next episode of Next Round Sports. This is Chris Porter with my compadres in crime, Jeff Amos, Caleb Culver. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
We're hanging on.
Go Cowboys.
Avoiding the migraines, but yeah.
Oh,
Go
Cowboys.
local sports
yeah.
team.
Go Cowboys. I'm Homer Simpson now, falling into the bushes and coming out Cowboys.
Jump into the new winning team. There you go.
Right.
Hey, you'd fit along with my son Wyatt just so well. You ask him what his favorite baseball team, he goes, "Who's winning?"
Right. He goes, "Who's winning?"
Yep.
And he roots for the winning team.
He's not wrong.
I've never been a bandwagoner, but I'll do it now because
I'm unintentionally raising a fence sitter is what I'm doing. Unintentionally. But anyways.
Unintentionally, sure.
Anyways, as we talk about the Cowboys, let's go ahead and jump into our first segment here this evening. Where we're going to talk about the NFL. Of course, we're going to go ahead and get into the Cowboys Jets first, but we've got a lot of other things going on. There's been a lot of injuries in the NFL, a lot of things going along with that. But first, we'll go ahead and get into the Cowboys Jets game. And to start it off, guys, this Cowboys defense, Dan Quinn has this thing running on all cylinders. Micah Parsons is that every week I'm getting the Lawrence Taylor comparisons. And it's hard
that's
to not
what they
say
throw
that.
out. I mean, to me, he's not Lawrence Taylor. He's just not. He's a different player. I'm not saying he's not as great as Lawrence Taylor. To me, he's more like a second version of Ray Lewis. And what I mean by that is he's the next generational talent that you have to compare to.
Well, I
Lawrence
agree with
Taylor
that,
was outside linebackers. Ray Lewis is middle linebackers. This is the guy who does both.
Ray Lewis
can't rush like that.
He didn't rush the passer.
He had great sack numbers. Look at that motherfucker.
He did, but he didn't rush the passer the way.
I'm not saying he rushed the passer as great as Lawrence Taylor did. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Lawrence Taylor redefined the outside linebacker position. Ray Lewis redefined the middle linebacker. Micah Parsons is a combo of both. That's how good he is. He's redefining the position of edge because you're being both and being great at it.
Well, what he can do, the moves that he can put on the outside, I watched during this game.
Well, that and his pure speed.
Well, that's the thing is really, technically, he's undersized for being an outside rusher. But the thing is, he is so strong and so fast. You watched him in the Jets game and the Giants game get past three defenders and able to split between all three of them and still get the sack or stop the run or at least affect the play in some way.
Okay.
It's just he is a absolute monster.
He is a world beater. Basically, he could probably go to the Hall of Fame now if he just decided to stop. But
yeah,
in 2 years, and I saw a stat earlier that I think, was it 2 years? He's already like fifth or top five or top three in sack totals already in Cowboys history.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on exactly where it was, but he's in that range of, and he's only been playing for 3 years.
I mean, that's great, but also sometimes some of these sack totals for teams are really low for some reason.
Well,
and I don't know if it's because the run game was the dominant thing back in the day.
It's because
Terrell Suggs is 88, I think, for the Ravens and the all-time leader, and we saw 80 for another team recently.
Hold on.
Well,
they didn't keep track of a sack.
They didn't track of sacks.
They didn't, but they also went back and added sacks for some of these other players.
Well, not on an official level. They did not, but some people did do that. But so what I got out of this game is that I stepped out of my chair. I was watching it with my wife and her family, and I stepped out of my chair and said, after that fumble return for a touchdown, which they did call back. It wasn't fumble, I believe. Mm-hmm. But they did call that back.
Yeah, the one Parsons took out, stripped. It had the strip fumble and then took the ball. Yeah.
Right. I said after that moment, Micah Parsons is the best player in the NFL. He's the best player in the NFL. Maybe not the most valuable player because it's all about the quarterback.
Hard to argue that.
It really is hard to argue.
You're around the quarterback position. But after that play, I said Micah Parsons is the best player in the NFL. And
like the only person that comes close might be
statement that day.
Patrick Mahomes. Just because
Patrick Mahomes is every week off this year. He has not looked up the
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said he's the only one close, because you can even go to Aaron Donald, but
and I'm talking about most outstanding player, not most valuable. So there's a little difference there.
There's a little difference, but to me, if Patrick Mahomes is on and doing all those goofy throws that he does, it's pretty dang impressive to be the best
thing
player
is
in
with
the
Patrick
NFL,
Mahomes is he only has Travis Kelce to throw to right now. His receivers.
Well, that's all he had last year, and he's still like threw for 5,000 yards.
He did, but he still had Juju Smith-Schuster. He actually had a few other names.
Tony passing the game up and giving the ball away.
To me, this year in Kansas City, and just to go off on a little small tangent here, let's go down this rabbit hole. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, to me, this year is what Aaron Rodgers had to deal with his last 3 years at Green Bay. They're like, hey, we're not spending any money on the receiving corps because you're so good. We gave you money and we're giving money to us. Make us good. You're so
Patrick
good.
Mahomes deal got restructured too to add more front end money with all these latest record breaking deals. So he's more in line with the market now too. But that's highly possible. Like you said, they're just like not getting receivers. And I mean,
they don't.
I don't know if Chris Jones makes a world of difference for that team, holding the Jaguars to no touchdowns, which was crazy for that defense.
That game was pitiful and piss poor. That should have been the game of the week. And for that being the game that it was absolutely asinine.
It was
Jacksonville, for Jacksonville to put that performance up against the world champion, or I should say the Super Bowl champions, because you didn't play against the world, whatever. Okay. But because you went against the Super Bowl champions and you put up that kind of effort right there, you have no right of saying you're going to win the AFC or be in the AFC conversation. That was ridiculous. And on Kansas City side, yes, you dominated defensively, but you looked terrible. Yes, Kelce did get a touchdown from Mahomes. Yes, they did. But at the same time, your offense looks completely out of sorts. You don't look like the team you were last year, and it's showing that you should have brought in some, maybe signed back Juju Smith-Schuster, maybe brought a couple of other veteran receivers in to go with these young guys, because these guys are not doing it.
Or bolstered that defense even a little bit.
Anything. But Chris Jones only does so much. Yes, he's a great player, but he only does so much. There were a lot of people out there on free agency that you could have looked to sign, and they decided to hold their money, keep the powder dry. Dallas Maverick reference. Keep the powder dry. I don't know what they're doing, but they obviously did not put Patrick Mahomes in a great situation. They're expecting him to be great and make everybody else great, but also sometimes great quarterbacks are great because they have great players around them.
Yeah, or at least someone.
Well, I just want to bring this back. So I want to bring this back though to the Dallas game too. I mean, I thought Scott looked fantastic, and really, what I kind of saw out of this game, and correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I'm just overselling this. CeeDee Lamb obviously had a fantastic game, but I almost kind of saw like an air raid offense out of this, in the sense that where Dak keeps throwing for short passes with no, really, let me rephrase this. I would say he is not able to make a mistake when he makes these throws. So these are just short, quick passes that allow their receivers to catch and go out of like 5 or 6 yards and then turn into 7, 10, 15 yards, whatever. And to me, I thought the offensive scheme was fantastic. I thought.
Well, wouldn't this also be said this? Wouldn't this also be said this is an offensive scheme that benefits a bus driver quarterback?
And that's unfair to Dak, in my opinion.
It is unfair to Dak, but at the same time, by saying that, when you just have the short dink dunks and put him in, isn't that what it is? So at that point, this is the kind of offense that you would use for, say, a Brock Purdy, who is being very successful in a similar kind of offense right now, which we have to say we're still seeing what Brock Purdy is. I mean, but still at the same time, yes, Dak is having great numbers. He's having great success, but any quarterback in that position should be, who is NFL caliber, should be able to make. Cooper Rush should be able to make those throws as well. So at the same time, is this helping or hurting Dak at the same time? I mean, if he's able to succeed in it and they go and win a Super Bowl, it doesn't matter at the end. Who cares? But at the same time, does that put him in the Aaron Rodgers category of great quarterbacks, or does he need to win a couple of MVPs along with it, or is he just a bus driver like, Gary Collins, Trent Dilfer?
Sure. So my response to that would be is that, unlike what Kellen Moore didn't seem to realize, is that Dak Prescott can be a bus driver some games. That's okay, because you're against an inferior team like the New York Jets, and you're going to be against an inferior team. I mean, and there's
you need a bus driver when you're going
to be
one of the best
against
defenses in the league.
Team.
The Jets are still one of the best defenses in the league.
And the following week, when you need him to make big plays, I think they're comfortable in asking for it. But Mike McCarthy knows that if I could get bus driver Dak, I'm going to beat these inferior teams. And it's going to be more valuable to me as opposed to risking Dak to throw. What was the need? Tell me what the need would have been to throw a bomb for 75 yards against the Jets.
Well, there wasn't a need, by the way. The defense is going. So that does
exactly. That's my point.
I know. No, I'm agreeing with you. That I'm just putting up that question of, hey, is this helping or hurting Dak? Does it help him or hurt him?
Yeah, because it hurts his development a little bit, but I mean, like you said, he wins. He needs to work on the long ball. He does in game time situations. It's not his necessarily strong suit. Can he do it? Yes. But if you're not asked to do it on a consistent basis, that muscle memory wears down. It is what it is. That's physics.
In the league, there's no such thing as development anymore. He's already.
You have to develop every year, otherwise you're not going to be good anymore. You have to change up shit that you do every year.
Regardless, people get the whole fact, when your defense is putting you in such a good position, you don't have to. You don't have to push it. You don't have to rush it.
You want to run as many plays on offense as you can, short, dunk, and dink. Let that defense rest and be the pass rushing and great defense that they are.
And is that not good?
And that's what they did.
It's not good coaching.
To go,
he didn't say it wasn't good coaching. That's a whole nother question.
One thing I wanted to bring up is you did bring up CeeDee Lamb, and what a great game CeeDee Lamb had. And really, with Brandon Cooks being out injured after the first game and not playing in this game, that I think was a big step up for CeeDee Lamb to show the dog that he is. We already knew he was the number one. He already took that aspect. He already ran with it last year. But to see him to me, this was him taking another step forward and taking on that, the Michael Irvin, hey, I'm the receiver. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to be the guy. And for him to go out there and do that with Brandon Cooks, who, if he's doing that, that's great. He's going to cause more. And then when Brandon Cooks is healthy, is going to give that long, deep threat that you can have as well with that. It's going to be extremely hard to cover both of them. Then, okay, you cover both of them, then you have Michael Gallup there underneath. I mean, that really helps.
Tight ends are still doing just fine,
right?
And all tight ends,
Dalton Schultz, basically,
they were all brought in this last game. Every single one of them was brought into the aspect.
Right.
Yeah, the offense looked much better against one of the better defenses in the league. And like I said, honestly, this game should have been 3 to. Sorry, I can't remember what the Cowboys scored now. 3 to whatever it was because of just one bad angle on that tackle for Garrett Wilson. Touchdown.
It was 30-10.
30-10. Okay, so it should have been 30-3. Thank you. At the end result, probably just because of one kind of bad angle tackle let Garrett Wilson get away.
It was bad, but at the same time, Garrett Wilson is an elite receiver. I mean, he is,
and he went over to Zach Wilson again and said, "Hey, just throw me the ball. I got you."
And Zach Wilson throwing the ball in the right spot, did what he was supposed to do. And guess what? You put those type of players in the right position, they're going to do something special, and that's what he did. The problem was Zach Wilson didn't have the time to do it any other time, do it anymore the rest of the game because he was running for his life the rest of the game.
He was running a lot, but I also don't think he was very accurate with most of his throws either.
No. Well, he's not, and he's not Aaron Rodgers at any means. And they're still recovering from that whole aspect that they don't have Aaron Rodgers because they prepared for the season to have Aaron Rodgers. This is just season 2. Zach Wilson, still, even the way that he played, he looked better in that game against Dallas than he did last season in the games that I saw him play. And I did watch Hard Knocks. And I watched how he listened to Aaron Rodgers, and he actually looked to be learning from him. And Aaron Rodgers seemed to be actually in a teaching mode, which, Jordan Love was just throwing up all over himself watching that. He really was. But Jordan Love has looked good. Even though they lost to Atlanta, he still has been looking good the last couple of weeks. But Zach Wilson looked better than what he has.
Speaking before, of the world's most surprising 2-0 team, Atlanta Falcons.
Yes. And we'll get into that.
Zombie Apocalypse is going to come on if they go 4-0, I bet.
Couple points I want to make just real quick about this.
Make your points, and then we'll talk about Atlanta.
Yep.
So, obviously, CeeDee Lamb had a great game, and again, this shows that he's probably going to get paid a ton of money, and then it's going to be interesting to really see how they I guess
break it down for the rest of the skilled players with Tony Pollard on his franchise tag.
Right, and also too,
they can tag Tony Pollard again. They
could tag Tony Pollard again, and that's going to be interesting.
And if you're Tony Pollard, you go ahead and sign it again because you're going to get paid a lot of money for a year.
Right.
A lot of money.
Right. And also, too, another thing is that CeeDee took some hits over the middle. There was someone like that. And again, maybe I'm overreacting about it, but to me, that is a thin man taking a lot of hits over the middle. And again, I understand that everyone's protected nowadays, but still, those are a lot of hits being taken over the middle. And so that
they were, and that has caused me concern. But he popped up after every single one, and he popped up with a little hitch in his giddy up. So I didn't see any time that he seemed to be hurting for them. Yeah, of course, you feel him next couple of days and everything, but I think CeeDee will put on, he's already put on more muscle than he has when he first came into the league. Because when he came in, he was a string bean.
Because it's development. You get better every year.
He wasn't Kevin Durant's string bean coming into the league, but he was a string bean. He was.
Pretty damn close.
He has put on some muscle since then, and you haven't heard this in the national media, not in the national media, but also in the DFW media. You haven't heard about CeeDee Lamb. Is he too small? Is he not big enough muscle-wise to handle the abuse? That's not a conversation I've heard coming up. So unless you see an injury come up or something, I don't see that being a concern at this point. I think he's pretty up to his, keeping his health and his workouts up. To me, that's not a problem. I don't see that being a problem. I think he's able to take the hits and move on with it. I think he's going to be okay.
And that's fair to say. One very last thing. Has Jalen Tolbert taken over Michael Gallup as number 3 wide receiver on this team?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, he hasn't.
You don't think so?
No.
No. I think he got a couple more looks in this last game because I think he had the inferior back on him, and I think they were just trying to help. That was one thing that last year they didn't do. They did when he was in the game. They didn't force the ball to try to give him some opportunities. And I think a couple of times they were going to him when they could have had another opportunity better, but they were trying to help get him involved in the game. Basically, to me, that's McCarthy helping build his self-esteem up and help get him going. Get him a couple plays, get him going, and get him moving. So, no, I don't think he's taken over Gallup. I think Gallup is a little more entrenched. He got the contract a couple years ago. He has more time with the team, and I think that's an aspect of the coach trying to get this younger guy a little more involved, get him a little bit, maybe tell him Dak, hey, look over to Tolbert's way. Let's get this guy involved. We think we can get him, into the game and help. At the end of the day, receivers are divas. We know that. If they don't get the ball, they cry about it. We've seen it so many times in so many games, and any receivers want to complain about what I'm saying, but then you're proving my point. That's the thing, is that help motivate this guy. He's not going to get motivated to do anything if you don't give him the ball. Get him the ball. Get him into the game. Get him involved in the game, and he's going to run harder. He's going to try harder, and he's going against the fourth best cornerback out there, probably a safety that he could possibly beat. So you get him involved, he's going to be rushing harder. Then it gives him an opportunity to get our linebackers. So like you said, kid, he's going against someone who's not the best cover guy that he could get open a lot easier if he's motivated. And sometimes players need that motivation to help get them going, especially younger players who are trying to battle onto the team and get into the rotation more. So, no, I don't see him taking over. I see that as them motivating him. Now, could I see him taking it from Gallup? Absolutely. If Gallup doesn't go ahead and step up to the challenge. Because Gallup was number 2 and lost that when Cooks got brought in. And he needs to prove why he needs to
100% he did.
Stay in that stay in that line. And Gallup needs to prove why he deserved that contract right now.
Right.
And them bringing Brandon Cooks in is why you need to prove it now.
And they signed Gallup thinking he was going to be the number 2. He's not.
Yes. But anyways, let's go ahead and we've talked about all I could think about there with the Cowboys-Jets. I know you were really getting into that Atlanta-Green Bay game where they were able to sneak that one out on Green Bay, and Atlanta Falcons
getting into it. I'm just surprised that Atlanta,
team.
The world's most surprising 2-0 team right now, is Atlanta.
Bijan.
Yeah, they're running like 60% of their plays right now.
Hey, and
counterintuitive to the NFL.
They will be the first to apologize
to go in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
you want to apologize? I'm waiting.
You shut up. Caleb, I want to apologize to you for how much fun I've made of Baltimore for running all the time, because Atlanta is running more than they are. They are, and I don't blame them. They are.
No. You got Cordell Patterson, Bijan Robinson, and Tyler Algier doing what they're doing. Why not?
They're running more.
Play.
Exactly. So I just wanted to say it out loud. I've made fun of Baltimore for that's all they do, and that's all Lamar Jackson does. I will apologize. Atlanta runs more. So now that's out of the way. Nobody can call me out on it. Hey. Okay.
I will still call you out on
Chris. Bijan Robinson is going in the Hall of Fame. No, I appreciate it.
I would like him to go to the Hall of Fame. I'm a Texas fan, so I'm a big fan of him when he was in Texas. I'm okay with that.
You don't want him to. You didn't want him to when I had this discussion during draft.
No, I never said I didn't want him to.
He makes shit up.
I didn't say I didn't want him to go in the
You're
Hall
the Michael
of Fame.
Jordan
I said I didn't know if he
you
would.
You make shit up to get mad about.
No.
I said I didn't know if he would.
You didn't want him to go in.
I'm a Texas fan. I rooted for him in Texas, so why wouldn't I want him to go to the Hall of Fame? That makes no fucking sense. That makes no sense. I said I didn't.
No,
I said I didn't know if he would do it. Quit twisting my words and trying to twist things around and make me look bad. F you. No.
No, that's easy. Let's switch over to the Ravens and Bengals then.
I don't
let's
need
switch
you
over
to
to the
make
Ravens
bad.
and Bengals.
I can do that well enough on my own. Don't worry. So yes. Now let's
Ravens and Bengals.
Let's let you two fight. Ravens and Bengals. Wow.
Oh, that game was controlled by Baltimore up and down the field. At least five drives of 10+ yards, leaning on the defense. The Geno Stone touchdown that technically he shouldn't have been there, Jeff. Finding out after the game in his press interview, he was supposed to go down and guard that in-cut route by Jamar Chase, I think it was. Instead, he snuck over to T. Higgins and wound up getting the interception that changed that game.
By him.
Yeah.
Because that's like 3 touchdowns for Higgins in that game.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Yeah.
Higgins with a hat trick. Game.
Oh, he did.
From what and then
but yeah, and the stat I don't think I'd ever heard with Burrow or would ever think to be associated with Burrow is he's the first Bengals QB to throw for 40 or under in the first half of 2 straight games. I never thought I'd see that with Burrow. It was ridiculous, that stat line I showed up, or they showed on there.
That brings up what I'm bringing up, because Burrow did re-injure his quad. And that's the thing, is that Jamar Chase was kind of teased and made fun of when he said that Joe Burrow shouldn't start the season. He should be sitting out at least a couple of weeks. He wasn't ready. And then they came back and asked him after the game, and he goes, I wasn't kidding. You all laughed at me, but really he shouldn't have been playing. And really, should Joe Burrow should they have just set him till week 3, week 4, maybe week 5, and let that quad
at least
get
the
back?
First 2 weeks, because you look at his stats for the first 2 weeks, they're horrendous. But then week 3, he just takes off.
They're terrible. Well, normally that does happen, but at the same time, these quad injuries are hard to get back from. They're really, really hard. Look at other athletes that have gone through it. They've all had problems with it. So, and especially with re-injuring.
And that's the problem. And so that's the problem with the front office for refusing to address the backup quarterback position.
They got you, Will Greer. How many times
you were happy about Will Greer?
How many times did I say on this podcast in August that I was unhappy with the backup quarterback position? Like, oh, Jeff, you're an idiot. Don't worry.
Oh, we agreed with you. I mean, the backup situation in the Bengals was horrible.
No one said you were an idiot. No one said you were an idiot.
But now it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, the quarterback situation is an issue. Well, no shit it is, because we didn't invest in it.
No, I just asked, should they have said
it? Problem now.
I know.
It doesn't matter who your backup is. You
had Will Greer, you brought in.
It doesn't matter. The backup situation to me doesn't matter.
Let him rest, basically. Rest that quad.
It's should they have started him week 1 or week 2 and just let the backup and just roll the dice and see what happens, because it's better rolling the dice with a backup quarterback, no matter who it is,
than ruining your franchise guy.
Then ruin your franchise guy. Exactly.
Cleveland, especially that Cleveland game. That's a fucking joke.
Oh, it was.
I think we finally got caught on
horrible
on a rhythm in the I would say probably the third quarter of that Ravens game. But also, too,
that was your first offensive touchdown in 6 quarters.
You have to blame Zach Taylor for this. You have to blame Zach Taylor for this as well, because why are you down 10? And with a handful of minutes to go, taking out the entire play clock. I watched this game with Caleb on Sunday. I don't know how many times I did this to get them to hurry up, and they never did it. It was just like they didn't fucking care.
That's classical Daisy. And I mean, honestly, the weirdest stuff too is how Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are just off. I mean, there was a little short out route to the corner of the end zone that Jamar Chase ran And Burrow had already thrown the ball basically out of bounds by the time Burrow made the cut.
Right.
I'm like, that's so weird. I mean, T. Higgins got the touchdown later, but it's just weird how they're not on.
Is this with Burrow missing, the whole, training camps and preseason and everything, that they're not linked up together, I mean, what else can you attribute
that's possible. I mean, he's got one extra year of service with T. Higgins than he does Jamar Chase, so maybe.
The problem now, though, is because Burrow's going to be questionable for every. I mean, you could list Burrow for being questionable every single game of the year now, and to me, this team is not going to make the playoffs. This is over for them. This is completely over.
Well, you sound the bell every time it gets a little dark.
Well, it is rough.
I mean, the
Browns suck. The Steelers suck. I mean, you could beat up on those two teams easy and get into a wild card.
I know. I think the Browns and Steelers are fucking terrible teams. But I don't think the Bengals are very good either.
Well, it's hard when you start 0-2, and especially your first two games are divisional opponents that you lose to. So going 0-2 and then also 0-2 in the division, it's not like you're going against a non-divisional game. I mean,
the Steelers at least are 1-1 and Browns are 1-1, so there's a way to climb back up.
Yeah, there is a way to
starting 0-2, like I said, against the division to lose some of those tiebreakers.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's over.
Well, that's why a lot of the Jets fans weren't as worried about losing to the Cowboys, because it was a non-divisional game. You already beat Buffalo in Week 1, which no one saw that happen, especially after Rodgers went down. So being 1-1 for the Jets is good in that aspect that they lost to a non-divisional, non-conference team.
Yeah, right. I was about to say, non-conference, not just non-divisional.
They still have a chance to be able to build themselves back up, because, I mean, they're still tied with Buffalo, who they beat. They're, Miami's leading right now 2-0, but the Patriots are 0-2, and the Jets are going into playing the Patriots this week. They have a chance to, go up 2-0 in the division and 2-1 overall. That's a good place to be, and on top of that, you beat the Patriots. And for a Jets fan, as my wife and father-in-law are, that's all in all the best in the world. Beat the Patriots.
What other
that's their motto.
Stood out to y'all this week? And
the only other game that really, I mean, there were a lot of interesting games that happened, and I do want to bring up the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game last, just because of the injuries that happened in that game.
Yep.
But the one I really want to talk about is how the Los Angeles Chargers can do everything right and still lose a game. They lost to Tennessee this week after losing to Miami in that barn burner, and there is no absolute reason they should have lost this game to Tennessee. Okay,
they have no turnovers in 2 games and 55 points. How have you not won at least one of those?
That is the first team that's ever done that. That's absolutely absurd. Yeah. Okay, I understand. You got outgunned against Miami. I get it. That happened. Tua had a fantastic game. Tyreek Hill, you couldn't stop him. Understandable. Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. I get it. That one I understand. But then you come up against Ryan Tannehill and you let him completely come up and beat you for no reason. There's no reason they should have lost this game to Tennessee. Tennessee is they have Derrick Henry, an old Derrick Henry, and that's it. That's all they have. Sorry, I'm not even keeping up, DeAndre Hopkins, because to me, Tannehill doesn't do enough to warrant keeping him at something.
Well, you have an old Derrick Henry. First game, you knew what Tannehill was going to be this year.
Yes, exactly. And there's no reason why Tennessee should have won this game. However, I don't say Tennessee won it. I'm saying the Chargers lost it, because that's exactly what happened. They threw away the game, and Staley, their coach, if he's not number 1 in the hot seat right now.
Oh, he is. He is.
He should be.
He's got to be up there.
We talked about a few episodes ago about which coaches were on the hot seat. I think Ron Rivera for Washington was number 1 in the hot seat. He's no longer there. Washington's 2-0.
Yeah, they're 2-0 now.
They're 2-0.
Somehow.
Which, believe that. Well, they played Denver last week, and Denver can't get out of their own damn way. Because Russell Wilson is a shadow of what he used to be.
Sad but true.
Yeah, Brand Staley, what's sad is a couple things. One, I don't think he's qualified to be a head coach of the league. I don't think he knows what the fuck he's doing because all he relies on is analytics as opposed to any kind of, visual fact that you're watching out on the field. Secondly, remember, Brand Staley was only a defensive coordinator for 1 year in Los Angeles for the Rams.
But he had Sean McVay. It was Sean McVay.
Well, no. Yeah, well, Sean McVay is not the. But the thing is, my point is that he replaced Wade Phillips, who, as we all know, is a fantastic defensive coordinator. And so I felt
defense coordinator.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
I know. I was reiterating what you said. That's all it was.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
But my point.
When you make a good point, I'll back you up on it.
Thank you for knowing that. But my point is that so you do that, and then you get this gig in Los Angeles, and you look like you're completely clueless. And your expertise is defense. The defense has been absolutely terrible. How do you let a quarterback like Ryan Tannehill go 20 of 24?
The Chargers have given up more points on defense than any other team in the league.
Which is surprising how bad the Minnesota Vikings was.
Yes.
Yeah. I tell you what, if this thing goes, say, like 0-4 or say 1-6 or 1-5 or something, Brandon Staley's not going to make it through the year. He's going to get fired early.
I could see that happening as well. If they go, I don't think 0-4. I think if they go 1-6, like you said, I could see that happening. Especially if it's say if they win this week and then they lose, then the next 3 or 4, absolutely, I could see that happening without a second thought.
Yeah, but also too, just think about this way: their next 4 games. They got to go to Minnesota, who's also 0-2. They have to play the Raiders at home. I'm not going to call them Las Vegas. It's just weird to me. And then they have a bye week, and then they play the Cowboys at home. And they have to go to Kansas City. It's not out of the realm of possibility. They could go 0-5.
No, it's not. They could, and being in Minnesota, they could absolutely lose that game. Although Minnesota also has a great way of losing games, which is sad. They
just picked up Cam Akers
receivers,
so they're trying to get that. I
did not see that. They picked up Cam Akers there.
Yeah, they did a swap of minor round picks apparently.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that'll help there with him. I know he's still getting back from injury, but still, you have Justin Jefferson. So, I mean,
you got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison have just been killing it in fantasy both.
They both have been.
What?
I have Addison on my team. I took a risk on him, and I'm very happy with that risk that I took.
Yeah,
he's been fantastic.
Guy. I don't think Justin Jefferson has a touchdown yet, but he's gotten 150 yards, I think, in 2 straight games.
Yeah, his yard total has been crazy, just like CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb hasn't been getting the touchdowns, but he's been getting.
But all we want to talk about is Puka Nuka or whatever his name is out of the Rams.
Exactly.
25 catches.
Are we in agreement though that
Staley
goes 0-6? Are we in agreement if Owen?
Yes, we're in agreement. He goes away. He gets fired.
He's gone.
If he goes 1-5, he gets fired, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, because his seat was already hot. His seat started getting
hot
at
the beginning of the season.
Jacksonville lost in the playoffs.
Yeah.
To me, like that's why I would have put him number 1 because with Rivera, it's like he doesn't even have the team appropriate. Brandon Staley, to me, already has a playoff team, and They blew that fucking game last year against the Jacksonville.
Don't discount Sam Howell. He's 2-0, man.
Well, the thing is that the reason I saw Rivera as being number one, and when they put him as number one, I didn't argue with that, is because of the ownership change. There was a new ownership, and the new ownership, usually when you bring in a whole new ownership, they're going to bring in their people.
Of course.
They're not going to keep.
It'll probably still happen.
It probably
Unless
will
you're the
still
Orioles
happen.
and you build a championship that way, you keep the guys that were good.
Rivera has to go to the playoffs and at least win one playoff game to hopefully keep his job. That's what he has to do. If he can go to the playoffs, win one playoff game.
I think if he gets to the playoffs, he's done what he wanted. That'd revitalize Washington right there.
To me, if they're not winning the division. It's not happening. Well, they're going to be a wild card team. They have to make a wild card team. To me, to prove to the new ownership,
thrilled to make a dang wild card.
I think
y'all can say he's got to win one. I think he's just got to get there.
I'm not saying that Washington wouldn't be thrilled. I'm talking that you're trying to impress the new ownership of why I am the guy. I'm your guy.
That's
to
fine.
lead this
and I
team.
think a playoff win gets it based on his drunken interview he had during the preseason.
Exactly. He needs to not get to the wild card. If he gets to the wild card and loses, to me, I still think they look for a new coach. But if he gets to the wild card, he wins.
It's possible, but I disagree with you.
And loses in the next one. I mean, okay, if they get blown out like 56-0 in the next round after that, okay, then I could see them going, okay, thanks, Ron. We appreciate what you did, but we're going to go with our guys. But, he comes in there and they lose by, 13 points, something not terrible, but also they weren't really in the game because they don't have the team. I think he has a leg to stand on and going, hey, give me some more players. These are the players I'm looking to get. I can work with this and turn this around. Look what I did when I had what the last ownership gave me.
Man,
give me who I can.
I was Caleb. If you took this team to the freaking playoffs, you're getting your job back. That's my opinion.
I just don't think. This team is.
I mean, that's fine too.
Bottom five of the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah, they were so bad and have been bad for so long.
I understand. I understand what you were saying, but I don't think the Giants are going to do what they did last year. I think there's already room for them to get
the worst team in the East.
I think that Washington can get into the wild card easily. I really think they easily could get into the wild card. I don't know if you
can get into the wild card easy because, like I said,
I think they have an easier shot than other teams.
Well, out of all the undefeated teams, only 2 of them are in the AFC. Out of the 8 undefeated teams, only 2 of them are in the AFC.
I'm talking about the NFC.
Listen to what the hell I'm saying.
I am listening to what you're saying.
No, you're not. Listen.
Yes, I am.
2 out of 8 are in the AFC. That means so they are 6 2-0 teams.
Yes.
Currently,
I know what you're saying.
What's the AFC?
I know what you're
Washington's
saying.
one of them.
I know what you're saying.
That means the better teams are over there right now.
But there's a lot better teams still in the AFC. Just saying that right now doesn't mean that the NFC is better.
I think there's going to be a down year for the AFC.
I think there's worse teams in the NFC. There's more worse teams that they could beat up on.
Don't get us wrong.
There are. So I think Washington has a chance to get in. I'm not saying that they'll be like a top wild card, but be one of the lower wild cards. I think that's an easier run for them than what normally would be.
It helps that there's like 3 wild cards now too, but
it does. In that aspect, I think they could get that very last wild card. If they get that very last wild card, to me, that's not enough for Ron Rivera to keep his job.
And that's possible. All we're saying is we disagree with you.
And we'll see. and if that's what they get, if they get to that last spot and they lose, then I'm going to strut around like a peacock when they fire him.
That's fine.
I'm going to feel bad. I
still got to do something whenever because J.K. Dobbins ain't getting to 1,600, so let's figure out whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, we'll figure that out later
when Ron Rivera loses his job.
No, I was trying to finish what I was saying, and I was going to say I'm going to feel bad about it because I like Riverboat Ron, and I would feel bad about it, but I would turn around for being right. I would be right. But anyways, as you bring up Chubb's injury, we need to about that before we end this
segment. It's the history of the NFL right now. There's a lot of people that are injured. Like you said,
Nick Chubb,
Burrow. The Ravens are still down like 4 or 5 starters.
And the fact that NBC, they wouldn't replay the injury.
And I don't blame them.
I don't blame them for doing it. And I started watching the game after it happened. I heard about it. Like my phone sent me a notification that Nick Chubb was out. And I go, oh, that sucks. I like him. And
you don't know how bad it is. Yeah.
No, I didn't know how bad it was. But I heard about, and I pulled it up online and people were sharing it online. That was the only way you could find it because I had heard reports that you could not, that NBC wasn't showing it. And when I saw the video, I don't blame them because the video was rough.
Yeah. I mean, when he got carted off like that, too, you're just like, yeah, that's not right.
But as I heard on different talk shows, once you've seen one injury, you've seen them all. So why do you need to see it? But that's also, there's people in this world that, I need to watch it. I need to see what happened.
There's a reason, what is that old MTV show, Shattered or Jarred, where they would show the skateboarding injuries and stuff with the x-rays.
People love watching that. I don't know why. I don't, but
it makes it go.
I know what it sounds like to me, or from what's been told and from what I could barely see from that replay is that it looks like it's a Willis. I don't know if y'all remember this or not, but it was Willis.
I remember Willis McGahee. I remember what happened.
National championship against Ohio State. So to me, it's one of those deals, and so that means he's going to miss the rest of this year and probably rest of next year too.
That'd be my guess, yeah. Based on what I've seen so far and the replays and everything, and then just the knee injuries and getting carted off and the look on his face.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to take more than a year.
For those who haven't seen the video, a knee is not supposed to bend left and right. It bent right.
Yeah.
It bent right all the way. And I feel for the guy because we were talking about this before we started, actually started the broadcast, is Nick Chubb he's a guy that you hear about him during the season. You hear about everything he's doing during the game, but you never hear anything about him outside of the game. He's a good guy. He keeps to himself. He is a great character guy. He's a guy. He's a role model guy. Like he's the guy you want your kids if they want to be a running back. He's the guy that you look up to.
I do want to ask you guys a question too. Do you think there's going to be a new rule on tackling? Just because, I mean, the Steelers player didn't do anything dirty or anything like that. But if you look at it, he came in kind of like a chip block, little low.
It was Micah Fitzpatrick, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, do y'all see that being kind of the no-go zone like they have on QBs now, where you're like, you can't hit them here, you've got to hit them below this area or up here?
It would be getting to the point now where you can't even play the sport at that point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they've already regulated defensive players to where they can hit and how they can hit, and the defensive players complain, but they've all complied to it. You adapt to the way it is.
Right.
I don't think there's any more safety-wise you can do unless you change it to flag football. There's not much more you can change it to unless you go to flag football. There really is no other things you can change.
That may be why the NFL is hyping up flag football so much, besides just getting more female involvement.
Maybe
flag football is like one of the big crazes right now. It's, hey, if we have to go to this
that is not the big craze. The big craze is pickleball.
Well, that's old people. Thank you. But
that's not just old people anymore.
Old, rich, white people. That's what that is.
Not just that anymore. It's more than that.
Whatever. You know what I mean, though.
I know. I know from the pickleball courts here in Cranberry.
That's next week.
Whatever. We're getting off topic. But, yeah. I mean, Frisco's spending $1 billion to build pickleball courts if you want to talk stupid stuff.
My township just that has one of the biggest pickleball organizations in the entire state, and they completely built with their own donations, not taxpayer money, to expand their pickleball courts. So now they have covered ones. And last weekend we hosted the Eastern North Central like silver division playoff to go in.
See, how much I care.
Absurd.
I don't.
It's absurd.
It is.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Anyway, so back to football. So y'all don't see any rule changes at all. That's good. But
No.
I don't. Well, I mean, what can you do? What else can you do to help make it safer? There's nothing else you can do.
Like I said, I mean, you outlawed the chip block, and I would say it kind of looks that's similar to where he was kind of in the same region.
It's a penalty.
I know. That's what I said. It's outlawed a penalty. So, I mean, do you say you say maybe call it a chip tackle or whatever you want to call it?
I just don't know how you coach your defensive players to. Like what?
I'm not saying it'd be
what
easy on the defensive players, and I would hate to see it, but I'm just saying
it's already a stretch.
You think NFL with their rushing of safety rules all of a sudden that they say?
I see the reason why you're asking the question. I just don't see. I could see that being proposed, but at the same time, I see too much pushback of going. How in the hell do we enforce this? Like, what do you? Okay, that's a good idea. What's your idea to enforce it? And all you're going to hear is, penalize them. We already are. What else do you want us to do? Like, there's nothing else we can do.
How do you? Again, it's a stretch already at the quarterback position. At least they're opening out there. You know he's behind the offensive line. But then again, like with the running back or wide receiver, how could you ask a defensive player to just like, oh, make sure you have to do this in this very second moment here and just like make the tackle properly without injuring him? You just can't do that. You just can't do that.
Yeah, you're getting paid millions of dollars.
They get paid millions of dollars to basically tickle fight each other on the defense right now. If you're talking about all the defensive regulations,
but when it comes down to it,
still get people like
there's a threat of injury, but you're being paid millions and millions of dollars because of that threat of injury to play a game.
Well, that and the fact that it's the most popular sport in the NFL or USA.
You're playing a game. It's the most popular sport, but it's still a game that you're getting paid millions of dollars worth, and there is some risk that comes along with it. But that risk is, to me, negated by the millions of dollars that you're making. And yes, running backs, we have the discussion. Running backs are making less than what others because of the devaluation of the position. But at the same time, take Nick Chubb's salary and give it to any other, blue-blooded American, and I think they would take that same damn risk every single day.
Well, we've seen Squid Games. We've seen this stuff. People take fucking crazy risk for money. They just do.
Exactly. So, to me, it's worth it. Yeah, you get injured, it sucks, and I hate it for him because I am a Nick Chubb fan. I just think he does everything the right way.
But at the same time, guy, does things. Never hear about him off-field shit.
Unfortunately, that's just things that unfortunately happen in this game. Unfortunately, that's where it happens. Well, anyways, we'll go ahead and wrap up our NFL. We'll come back here in just a few moments. We're going to get talking about some Major League Baseball. And welcome back from the break as we are ready to jump feet first into college football. And exciting week. We didn't have as many great games as we thought we had great games, but there weren't as many great matchups coming into this as there are coming to this future week. But I digress. I'm going to send this right over to Jeff. Let him run away with this one. Go ahead, Jeff.
So we'll go ahead and start off with this Colorado State-Colorado game. Now, granted, this game, I know in your area, Chris, started at 10 o'clock Eastern time.
I didn't watch it.
For us to start at 9, and I stay up and watch.
It lasts until like what, 1 in the morning?
It lasts until 1:30 in the morning. I watched
into overtime.
Yeah,
well, that was the 2 overtimes.
It went every single. I watched just about every single play, if not every single play of that game, and so I find it, first off, just as an aside, I find it funny that it would have been hilarious to see Colorado lose to Colorado State right before that 60-minute story.
I mean, it was like 28-17 going into the fourth, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so Colorado State had a shot.
Well, no. Colorado State played the best product of football for 58 minutes of that game. It's that Colorado just came back at the end. And another thing that bugged me about this game too was the fact that, first off, why did first off, how did Colorado State give up a 98-yard drive? That's what I don't get. Right? I mean, how do you give up that? In my opinion. And so,
well, how did you
also
do it?
another
Answer your question.
But
I mean, out coaching, or is it
they're
players
tired.
doing better?
Yeah.
It is. At the end of the game, your defense is shot. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. It also too, I thought these teams were undisciplined going into the game.
Oh yeah.
And I blame
part of Hunter's injury might have led to that
so
too.
I blame that. Well, I blame that on the coaching staff. I think the coaching staff got way too into the hype. Okay. They got way into the hype.
So you mean the Colorado coaching staff you blame on Hunter's injury?
No, both staffs.
Okay.
Jay Norvell was running his mouth all week long too for Colorado
He was.
State. And so basically what you provided was two undisciplined teams playing each other for about 3/4. Well, I wouldn't say 3/4. I'd say the first half of this game. And to me, that was a bad. That's a bad look by the coaches, and that's a bad look for college football. I think these coaches need to be better than that. And I think Jay Norvell needs to be a hell of a lot better than that, because he knew what he was getting into coming into this. Dion will always be Dion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
that's what he is.
Jay Norvell bought into that shit. And also, too, what I cannot for the life of me figure out, why in the second overtime did Colorado State not go for two? I'm yelling at the TV. I'm yelling like constantly. How do you not go for two when you have the ball to win the game in overtime? Go for two and win the freaking game. And tell me why Colorado, when they won the toss, how do you take the ball first? Like, are you fucking kidding me? That's college football 101.
Well, we are talking about still a young coach.
First.
I mean, Dion could talk all he wants, but he can make a rookie mistake. He's a young coach.
Has he not watched college football before?
True, but maybe he has confidence in his defense of shutting them down. He knows that his son at quarterback, that he feels confident scoring.
No.
I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm trying. You asked, how does he do this? I'm trying to give you some kind of explanation of how. That you believe wholeheartedly that your defense can shut them down, and you fully believe that your son at quarterback, who has been playing amazing, is going to score on them, and you don't have nothing to worry about. That he's going to score, and you're going to shut him down. That's the only way I could see him seeing that, because I agree with you. You don't take the ball in overtime in college. You take the ball in the pros.
But you're going to get the ball at some point. So tell me why you do that. Tell me
I don't know. I just told you why.
Yeah, so he just gave you a plausible scenario, but we can all say that it's wrong. But
it's wrong.
No plausible scenario.
That is the plausible scenario. That's the only way somebody could think of it, is that my defense will stop them. I'm going to go score on them now, and that way put the pressure on them. No, I'm not saying that's right, but you asked me a reason why. I gave you one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it. I would give them the ball so that I could go second. Now, if I'm in the NFL, I'm taking the fucking ball. I'm taking the ball. You have to in the NFL until they change the rules again to go with college rules, which they should do. Because everyone should touch the ball in overtime, in my opinion. And we had that aspect with Detroit-Seattle, which was probably the best game of the week, which we didn't talk about in the previous segment. But that was a great game, and Seattle was able to win by scoring a touchdown in overtime. But that's all I could say. You asked me for a reason. I gave you a reason. You don't like it? Come up with a better one.
Yep. Tell me another one. Tell me one, Junior.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was probably the best game, even with its faults, for all of last week. So let's.
Well, the one thing I was going to say though is I'm very surprised in the outcome of Missouri and K-State. I honestly expected K-State to beat Missouri, but that receiving core doesn't seem to be as strong as it was last year. We knew the running game was going to take a step back with Deuce Vaughn being gone, but
very true.
I mean, it's Missouri. They are basically the dregs of the SEC right now.
Missouri has
still
SEC,
good, but
since they went to the SEC, they have not looked good. They haven't been ranked really since they left the Big 12. And to come in and knock off Kansas State, which Kansas State has their ups and downs, but still, they were ranked 15th in the country. A little surprising there for them to lose that game. I mean, and it was only by 3, so it was, as I'm looking right here, it was a 61-yard field goal at the end to win the game for Missouri. Right. So not like it was a chip shot. Game. I mean, a great game, a great way to finish it. And good for Missouri to get the win, Hey, got to get the upset every once in a while. But, yeah, Kansas State definitely let them have it. I mean, you can say, oh, we lost a 61-yard field goal. But at the same time, you got to look at the rest of the game. How did we play? Did we play well enough to actually win this game? And why should it be left to a 61-yard field goal? We shouldn't have let it get to that point. So,
yeah,
that's the way it crumbles.
Yeah, and I was watching the end of that game live, and what's bizarre about that too is that I was watching that game with my brother, and we're watching it when Missouri got a delay of game. It's going to be a 56-yard field goal. They got a delay of game. And we thought, oh, well, now they have to punt it.
Right.
But then they still went ahead and kicked the game-winning field goal.
Coach knows what he's got.
That is unbelievable to me. And by the way, that Harrison Mevis or whatever, that dude looks like he's 60 fucking years old. I mean, that did not look like a true college kicker to me. And
so if you want his birth record check, is that what you want?
Well, sure.
So basically, he looks like you think
he looked like Greg Oden, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, his birth record is going to be like a Dominican for baseball.
Right. Yeah, he'll show up as like, oh yeah, he was born in probably 2002, but he's really born in like 1993. Or 73, but I think though, I think the key and disappointing fact for K-State in that game was they're missing their defensive players. I mean, you're talking about losing first and second round picks off that defense. That's going to hurt, and I thought Will Howard played good enough, but he wasn't I thought Brady Cook made some great throws in the clutch and was very solid from what I saw. And so that was the difference in the game. I think the defense from K-State, again, that the lack of talent is really hurting them.
Oh.
And Brady Cook just played good enough to win that game. I thought he looked very solid. And again, no turnovers by Brady Cook in that game. And no turnovers, I believe, for Missouri in that game overall, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's really the main key in that game.
Yeah, Kansas State, they're not going to get the same return on talent that normal big teams, Georgia, Alabama, get, where they can just kind of rinse and repeat and go through that. Kansas State, they have to do a lot more recruiting. They do have good teams there, but they have their ups and downs. And, hey, maybe they were ranked a little too high after losing Deuce Vaughn and a few other players there on their defense. One of the game from last week, before we move into the week coming up, I wanted to bring up is Jeff's Florida Gators getting the win over the number 11 ranked Tennessee Volunteers.
Right. So I was, first off, by the way, blown away that they actually won this game and won it convincingly. And I was completely shocked, especially with, in my mind, what we have as an inferior quarterback in Graham Mertz at the helm. But they have Trevor Etienne, which, as you know, is Travis Etienne's little brother. He looked exactly like him that game. And he was completely phenomenal.
172 yards, average 7.5 per carry.
Yeah. And so even if you subtract,
that's all you could say to that.
Yeah, and again, people say, well, he had that big run or whatever. Just like, okay, subtract 62 yards. I think that's still a hell of a game.
110 yards after that.
22 and 110. So that's still pretty damn good. They dictated the pace of the game. They did not turn the ball over. It was just a fantastic game. And also, too, I think, again, we always talk about 5-star players, 4-star players, and the importance of recruiting. Yes, that's 75% of the game nowadays. And however, you still have to coach, and you still have to recruit on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think Tennessee had either of those categories. I think Billy Napier outcoached Josh Heupel in this game, and I think Josh Heupel needs to start recruiting on the defensive side of the ball. Look, we all love skill players. That's what gets the Heisman Trophy winner 98% of the time. It's great that you're able to recruit skill players. That's awesome. You need to have them at this level. And it's just like the NFL, the quarterbacks are the most important position, as we've seen with Alabama. And however, you need to still recruit defensively. And you still need to be able to coach as well.
Alabama was able to hang on for that horrible game against Birmingham.
South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
South Florida.
South Florida.
The
Bulls.
So, yeah.
Horrors in the atmosphere.
Yeah. But again, so basically what you refuse to do, however, is recruit on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't think you have the coaching staff, at least, I'm not going to completely take a crap on Josh Heupel, although ultimately it is his responsibility. But I don't think you have the coaching on the defensive side of the ball for Tennessee to compete at a high level. Look at last year, for example, that the time they did beat Alabama, that was a 52-49 game. I think more often than not, you're going to lose a shootout against high-quality opponents. And Tennessee now realizes that, oh, wait, if we can't score points against a team like Florida, then we're in some serious trouble here. So I think this is more, in my opinion, as opposed, yeah, it's great for Florida. I love it. I'm a huge fan of Florida. So we'll take this as a great.
And Tennessee lost a lot of skill position players.
Yeah.
Hooker, Hyatt.
But Brew McCoy is a great wide receiver. You know,
one thing to bring up is Trevor Etienne. He brought up, he had 172 yards rushing, and his long was he had that 62-yard run, which everybody's like, oh, if you take that away, what does he have? One stat I want to bring up with that is that the lead running back for Tennessee, Jalen Wright, had a total of 63 yards. 1 yard over. Etienne's one run. So at that, you're getting grounded, pounded at that point. Your defense is letting up too much right there. When your defense is letting up that much, your offense is helping back with it. That's not a success for winning when it comes down to it. So that was just one stat I wanted to bring up there. So now let's go ahead and pivot now into this week's coming games. We've talked about some of the ones that were last week. Time to move forward, look into the future. Some big games that are coming up. I know that Texas now ranked number 3. They were able to move up one position. They'll be at Baylor. That's one. Baylor's 1 and 2, but still that'll be not a give me game. Baylor's not.
Yeah,
not
I mean Texas State beat them week 1, but as kind of Jeff mentioned during the half, Sarah will steal your stat here. It was 10-10 going into the 4th for that Wyoming game. And how many did they have to score to win, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean they won 31-10, so it looked a lot better than it looked. And for love of God, Texas, I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it could come from their coaching staff or not, but they need to stop playing down to their level of opponent because it's going to bite them.
Well, this could have been a
ass
letdown after the Alabama game too. They could
True,
have been
but
just.
No, but they did it. Yeah, they did it against Rice though too. So they cannot fucking do this. They need to stop.
Well, that's the thing. That comes down to Sarkisian because when it comes down, the coach has to get the team ready and not let them slack down to a lower opponent. You've got to treat every opponent as if they are Alabama or they are Georgia. You have to treat everyone the same way. If you're going to win the national championship, you have to treat everyone as they are the number 1 seed. You're trying to knock them off to get your way up there. But hey, I'll take a little bit. They beat Alabama in an outstanding fashion. Hey, maybe the hangover was just a little bit. I think this game against Baylor, we can see, was it just a small hangover that they were able to correct against Wyoming? They come out and stomp Baylor and do what they should do against Baylor? Or does Baylor come up and show them up? Does Baylor force them to win on a last-second field goal? I think this game is going to show a lot about who Texas is because Baylor, even at 1 and 2, they're not a just rollover. Even though they weren't rollover, they lost Texas State game. This isn't a smaller school. This is a divisional rival. This is a game that is going to be in Waco. At McClellan Stadium. They have
the
a good
Regala
show
is going to be there.
They do. The Regala will be out there. This is a game that they could easily lose. This could be a trap game. Could be. I don't think it is, but it could be. And that's the thing is that I think this game is going to test who Texas really is. Are they what A&M was 2-3 years ago when they upset Alabama and then didn't do jack shit afterwards? Is that who they're going to be? or are they going to build off this Alabama win and actually show that they are a legitimate contender this year?
I'll give you the answer to that, and that's contingent upon Quinn Ewers. To me, he is the biggest conundrum in college sports.
Well, did you go
You
back to
just
game
said
manager?
after Alabama that he was going to win the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, he could play himself into a first-round pick.
I know, and I
said he could play himself into a first round.
I know,
pick.
and I
said he could.
I know, and I
didn't say he was going to beat Caleb Williams over the Heisman like somebody over here.
Oh, okay, and I take it back. I am sorry. I am sorry. What do you want me to do? I said I am sorry. Like, he is the most mystifying player I've ever seen. We don't know what you're going to get from him every single week. And so maybe it's contingent upon the players, i.e. Quinn Ewers, to get this team ready for every single fucking game, regardless of who they're playing. I don't care if it's Alabama. I don't care if it's Baylor. I don't care if it's Iowa State. I don't care if it's whoever the fuck they're playing.
I need to look at their schedule, but we need to make sure they don't play Iowa State in Ames, Iowa, because crazy things happen in Ames.
No. So that's the thing, Porter. That's the thing. I picked them to lose that game November 18th. That game is in Ames, Iowa. That's a scary-ass game.
November 18th, November 18th, they'll be in Ames. And Ames, crazy things happen in Ames, Iowa. They always do.
Iowa State, I'll say this. Like, they lost to my brother's Ohio Bobcats. We watched the entirety of that second half. Fantastic for Ohio. Fantastic for Peden Stadium. Fantastic for Athens. But I'm just saying that Texas better watch out. Still, because that is just a weird-ass situation, and that's a definition of a slip-up game. I don't care what Iowa State's record is.
No.
If they go 5-7, the top discrepancy.
Well, let's get back to this week. I think we can worry about that one if they can get.
We'll worry about that one then. We'll get worried about that one later. Let's go. Yeah, I agree with Caleb. That is crazy things happen in games. We all know that, but there are a lot of games we need to go ahead and get into. And the first one I want to go ahead and throw in is Ohio State Notre Dame.
Yes,
this is number 6 and number 9 going into. It's going to be on NBC. It's the night game on NBC. It is game of the week.
Yeah,
this game is going to be one to watch, and honestly, it is. It's Notre Dame, and this is the game to me where Notre Dame shows, okay, we deserve a seat at the table. Because honestly, Notre Dame, being that they're not in a Power 5 conference, they're an independent in football, and they're able to, pick their schedule. They don't play anyone. And that's the knock on Notre Dame is they pick their schedules to be a cupcake schedule where they have to play. There are some big teams they have to play. They have to play USC later, which that game I'm really looking forward to. I think that's going to be a huge game, depending on what's going on here. But for Notre Dame to keep themselves, basically to validate that we are in the top 10 like they are, I think they need to they need to win. They're out of the top 10 if they don't win, hands down. But
and that's why I think they're going to be out of the 10. Because to me, this is Iowa State's game.
This is.
We know I'm on the Iowa State bandwagon. I've been with it from the start. But Iowa State's offense is
Marvin Harrison Jr.'s flies the whole way.
Yep. But I mean, speaking of him, he's had 220 games back to back, 120-yard games back to back. With Kyle McCord finally waking up. So I think the offense is finally waking up. And so I'm saying I think the offense is waking up. Now Ohio State again, offensive line and defense, that'll be the 2 weak points for them coming in. So we'll have to see how they do. And the running game looks strong for Notre Dame, so they could lean on the run game and a defense and keep that offense off the field.
I'm glad you brought that up.
But I think Ohio State's got it.
I was about to say, I'm glad you brought him up too, Caleb, because to me, Audric Estime is the best running back in college football right now, in my opinion.
Even better than Etienne?
Yeah, even better than Etienne. I mean, to me, Audric.
High praise.
He is going to get 1,500 yards.
173 yards rushing. Yeah, that is very high praise. No, that's good. Yeah.
No, and also too, think about it this way. You know, we were talking about last year with Sam Hartman potentially being a first round pick in the NFL in 2023. Then he goes to graduate transfer route. He's on Notre Dame now. He has 13 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Yeah.
So for once, Notre Dame at quarterback and running back is completely loaded.
Yep.
And
bringing him over from Vanderbilt was huge.
And what's great, or if I said Vanderbilt, I meant Wake Forest. I apologize.
Vanderbilt. But, no, I said Vanderbilt. So is Wake Forest. Yeah, I get them confused all the time, every single time.
Same colors. It's all good.
Yeah, close enough. Close enough.
The thing,
neither one wins.
Commodores, Demon Deacons, very close.
What also too, what's interesting, or what I like about this Notre Dame team is they spread the ball around. You know, it's not an issue of whether or not it's just one guy carrying the show. They have 5 or 6 guys that they can go to on a consistent basis. And to me, this is a test for Ohio State. I think Ohio State will win this game, but
test for both.
but this is going to be this is not your older brother's Notre Dame team to where they have one guy as a tight end and it's Jeff Samardzija out there.
Not Rudy going down the field.
Not your run-of-the-mill running back and your run-of-the-mill quarterback. I think you have some very, very talented skilled position players for Notre Dame. And their defense is solid per usual. This is going to be a scary game for Ohio State. This is not a pushover.
No, it's definitely not a pushover.
No, it's
I
definitely
just think
not.
they find a way to win it.
This is going to be the game I'm going to be watching Saturday night, and I'm going to call Notre Dame winning it just to go against everyone else. I'm calling Notre Dame to win it, and I want to watch it. Just to watch and see it happen. Hey, I don't mind being wrong on a game like this. Hey, I'll take the underdog.
We won't mind being
wrong.
It'll
be great to see.
We'll see.
It's going to be a heck of a game to watch.
It's going to be a heck of a game to watch. Notre Dame has to do everything right to win this game, but they have the tools for once to actually compete.
That's the difference.
And that's the difference. That's why I'm picking Notre Dame, is because they have the tools to compete. And let's see if they utilize them in the correct way.
Right. For once, Notre Dame has the ability to win this game.
Exactly, they do, and that's why I'm also looking forward to Notre Dame USC later in the season, because they actually have the tools to compete. And this right here will help them build their confidence going up against Caleb Williams in USC later on in the season. I want to jump to this game. This game, we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. I just thought it was interesting, is that we have number 2, Michigan, which got to talk about the top teams, but they're going against Rutgers.
They don't play anybody because they know they suck.
They know they don't play anybody. However, Rutgers is 3-0, and Rutgers has looked good in these 3 games. They've looked dominant. They've looked tough.
I hope they upset, but
I'm not saying they're going to upset. I'm just saying that this is an undefeated team they're going up against, and Rutgers.
Scarlet Knights have looked better under their new coach, but
they have looked better than what I expected. I did not expect Rutgers to be 3-0 at this point. Like this game, I did not expect to be talking about it because I figured Rutgers.
Rutgers hasn't been this good since was it Ray Rice? Or no, he's Richmond Spiders, wasn't he?
No,
So,
Ray Rice.
he is
Ray Rice
Rutgers.
was
You're
Rutgers.
right.
Oh, okay, my bad.
You were correct.
The other R. Yeah, so I mean, they haven't been that good since Ray Rice was there. But
very true. But for them being 3-0, they've played pretty well going up to this point. I'm not saying they're going to upset Michigan, but at the same time, it's Michigan,
right.
and they are prone to be upset by lesser teams, such as TCU last year. Like, they have this quality. I mean,
Right.
Harbaugh's been a good coach. They have a good team. They run, they do everything well, but it just seems like they overlook teams like Rutgers right here. They overlook them, and they get upset for those reasons. I'm not going to be surprised if Michigan wins this game and wins it easily. But I'm just saying, there's going to be a lot of games, especially the Michigan-Ohio State game. We're going to be looking at it as, okay, where is Michigan going to lose here? They were able to beat Ohio State last year, but can they do it again? That's the thing. And those are the questions that are going to be consistently asked about Michigan until they go ahead and win the national championship. Until they do, we're going to get those questions asked about it.
Yeah. So going back to the Rutgers point you made, Chris, I think it's a very solid point. Is look, I thought they were going to start out this season 3-0, but did I think they would slaughter Northwestern, Temple, and Virginia Tech all in a row? No, I didn't.
I had to think they'd do it against Northwestern, though.
I thought
Northwestern, but not Virginia Tech.
Right, no, not Virginia Tech. That's the one surprise to me that's on their current schedule.
All those were going to be
like
very
30
close.
to 16.
Well, I thought those all were going to be very close games. I think when you have this Kyle Monning guy, that's his name. I didn't say Monning guy being lazy because I couldn't, remember his last name. That's
before you go on. Rutgers won 24-7 against Northwestern in week 1. Week 2, 36-7 against Temple, and then beat Virginia Tech 35-16.
And that's my point. They convincingly beat everybody. And so, again, Greg Schiano, I think he's a fucking douchebag. And
no one's going to argue on that one. No one's going to argue that.
And he is a shitty NFL coach, but I think he's a perfect coach for a program like Rutgers.
In New Jersey.
And so I think
everybody understands it.
Yeah, exactly. Just reiterate that. But I think this is a solid Rutgers team. They're 24-point underdogs. Again, like you said, Chris, no one's expecting them to win, but it can be a competitive game for Michigan. And Michigan can't just roll out of bed and expect to kick their ass.
No, they can't. And I looking at it ahead of time, if I looking at this game before the season started, wouldn't have cared. But because of the way Rutgers has won their last 3 games and then being 3-0 against Michigan, if Michigan takes this as we're going to win this game, no worry. We don't need to worry about this. I think Rutgers could come up and beat them because of that.
Highly possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm not betting on Rutgers. I'm just saying there's a possibility here.
Yeah.
I bet on Rutgers like I bet on Notre Dame.
The game line's 24 Michigan right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the way, again, I would have said Rutgers would have started off 3-0, but I think in my mind, Michigan would have been 34-point underdogs because I thought Rutgers would have narrowly won all 3 of these games. That's my opinion.
I just think this is a game that will be a little bit more interesting than maybe people are looking at. That's right there.
100%.
Some other big games to look at. You've got Colorado, we talked about them earlier. They're going against Oregon this week, both 2-3-0 teams.
That's a winnable game for Colorado.
10 games. Yeah.
Oregon's to me another team that's overrated.
Well, I think, we don't know
see if that Travis Hunter injury takes a toll or not.
Well, he's going to be out for multiple weeks. I was about to say that.
He's out like 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, because he had the sort of I think with Jason Witten is the lacerated spleen. I think for Travis Hunter, it's a lacerated liver, which is not good.
Nope.
He's taking his time. Takes time.
That's a huge loss for Colorado. My concern again, and I've said this amongst friends, is the fact that regardless, even if Travis Hunter was in that game, let's just say he is, there's no depth on Colorado. There's no, in my opinion, no size on the offensive line or defensive line for Colorado to compete in this game.
Yeah. I mean, Oregon is a 21 point favorite.
Right now, look at the Colorado State game. If they didn't pull off that miracle, they would have lost. And why? Because they didn't have the defensive line to compete. And yeah,
I don't think Texas Tech has a defensive line to compete either, but
they don't. But they should.
We're talking about Colorado.
Yeah, they almost beat that. They almost beat Oregon.
We're not.
Well, I can tell you right now, Oregon is not over. That's the thing is with Dion coaching Colorado and what they've done so far, Oregon is not overlooking this game like they probably would have before Dion did the job.
Yeah, they're not fucking overlooking.
I think last year they overlooked Colorado and said, fuck it, that's a win. We don't have to worry about that game. They're not overlooking it. So you're getting your best from Oregon. They're not – it's not a trap game for Oregon anymore.
No.
So that right there coming in. It's a – they're both ranked teams going to be on, a national broadcast. It's on ABC. People are going to be watching it. They want to watch this. This is 2 top-tier programs. They're going to go for it. So that's one that's going to be watching, one to see. We're going to get to see what Colorado truly is. What are they truly? Who are they truly?
It also too, I think Oregon, like you said, Chris, they're not overlooking this game now. I don't care if they only have Stanford next week, who's arguably the worst team in the Pac-12. They're not going to overlook this game at all. And they're tired of hearing about how Colorado can upset them and all this shit. And and everyone's talking about Colorado. I think Oregon is primed to kick their fucking ass.
Well, they're set up and ready to do it there in Eugene. We'll go ahead and hit one other quickly, one Big 12 matchup. You've got number 11 Utah and number 22 UCLA, both 3-0 matched up against each other. And lots of good matchups here, but this is one that I see 2 undefeated teams coming up here in the Pac-12 ranked. And are we going to, Utah's looked solid the last couple of years. They have been one of the best teams, but they're at 11. They're looking solid. They're looking good. But UCLA also coming in here 3-0. And is this a game that Utah really needs to be worried about?
Well,
I don't think so. Sorry, I was going to say UCLA has played nobody. Utah's at least played Florida, and they've at least played Baylor. That's at least 2 decent teams. You're talking San Diego State and Weber out there for UCLA. Like, who is that? Or excuse me, Coastal Carolina, NC Central, and San Diego State is who 3-0 UCLA is. Whoop-de-friggin' do. There's nobody on that list that even scares you. Utah's got this in the bag.
So what I think about this game, it's contingent upon the health of Cameron Rising, right? I mean, he was the guy that led you to the Rose Bowl last year. Is he going to come back healthy? It seems like he's going to be ready to go. Kyle Whittingham said that he, quote unquote, looked good in practice on Tuesday, whatever that means. Regardless, though, without him, as Caleb alluded to, they went to Baylor and won. They beat Florida at home handily, and that's without Cameron Rising. So to me, and as Caleb also alluded to, UCLA hasn't played anybody yet. We don't know their quarterback situation. We don't know how much they're missing Dorian Thompson and Robinson right now. So to me, I think this is a game that Utah can expose UCLA. They're going to do it. And I think Utah.
I would definitely take a 4.5 spread in this game for Utah.
So if Cameron Rising.
Yeah, I would take that too.
So if Cameron Rising is going to be fully healthy and ready to go, I fully expect Utah to play an outstanding game. And I think defensively, too, they're going to limit what UCLA does, because UCLA hasn't played anywhere close to the level of defense that Utah is going to present to them on Saturday afternoon. And I believe that's 2:30 on Fox, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yes, you are correct.
So
2:30 on Fox.
So I think, to me, what we're going to see is a defensive showdown. And then they're not going to pull out the full playbook for Cameron Rising. I think he can fully, make the game manageable throws and hand off the ball effectively. I don't think UCLA's defensive line is particularly good, especially on the interior side. So to me, I think Utah will be able to effectively run the ball. And again, a lot of it's on Cameron Rising, but even say he doesn't play, I think the talent level is there to where Utah wins this game regardless of his participation.
Agree
with All right, you. Good answer there on that. I want to do a quick hit on two other games before we move on into our next segment. So let's keep it down short and sweet. The first one I want to talk about, Alabama and Ole Miss, number 13 going against number 15. I think this is something that Alabama needs to prove, because, as we talked about with with them playing the University of Southern Florida last week and looking terrible, they got knocked out of the top 10 for the first time since like 2005, 2002, something around like that.
Yeah, but I mean, Hotty Toddy's been a hot mess. This is Alabama's bounce back game. Ole Miss just can't hang with them. Sorry.
Yeah, well, to me, why is Lane Kiffin poking the bear here?
Because he's Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
That's why.
I know. And so I'm just reading this. So Lane Kiffin says, I don't know what happened after the Texas game, but, our guys are watching the TV copy schematically in this last game. It seems like T-Rob's now calling the defense. We played him before at South Carolina, so we're preparing accordingly. For him calling the defense, he's done a good job too, and they've got really good players. But that's a shot. That's a direct shot at Nick Saban. And,
this
defense
and
who
is
knows?
Definitely weaker than it's been for years. And the offense,
well, but who knows?
Not good.
This could be. I know this sounds ridiculous, but hear me out here. Mm-hmm. Could this be a situation with Nick Saban just showing off to the public and the media? Oh, you want to see these quarterbacks play against South Florida? We're going to beat them anyway, but you want to see how bad they suck? Here you go. Yeah, here's Taylor Buckner. Here's Ty Simpson. They're fucking terrible. And so I'm going to start.
You mean
Jalen
the Ole Miss
Milroe
QBs?
now.
Or
No,
you think they're
I'm
changing
talking
QBs?
about Alabama.
Ah,
No, I'm talking
okay.
about Alabama. What they played in that.
Well, who knows? Maybe they're showing some younger guys, here's some experience to jump in, can play. I don't know. I really don't know. But whatever happens.
I think this could be some mind fuck by Saban. I wouldn't be surprised. That's my point.
I'm not a fan of Saban or Alabama, so whatever happens there happens. I mean, there's some players that I'm a fan of, but
I know.
Yeah.
But seriously, tell me why, Chris, why you think they start off. I mean, look, Milroe looked awful. We talked about it last week, but then he's going to put Buckner and Simpson out there, and then he's going to say, no, we're going to go back to Milroe. So tell me, was that like some sort of weird little deal that Saban was playing on the fans and the media and everyone else?
Maybe.
I think Saban's going to ride whatever horse he can ride to win a championship. He proved that in the championship game when he sat Hurts and started to.
I know, but I mean,
he said, "Screw it.
I don't know.
Let's try it."
I don't know.
That turned out
at this point, it's too early to tell. I think we'll know more after this game.
Yeah,
but right now, I think it's too early.
Exactly. Well, one other game I wanted to touch on real quick, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next segment, is Jeffy's Oregon State Beavers, ranked number 14, going against the last other team in the Pac-12 besides Oregon State, Washington State, ranked at 21.
Going against
Tupac, going for it.
Pac-2 going against each other. How do you see your Beavers doing? You think they're going to beat them? I know you called it beforehand that they would be, but Washington State wasn't ranked at that time. So
we didn't see this QB being as good for Washington State either this time.
No, well, I think the key for Oregon State in this game is the offensive line. I think Oregon State, from an offensive line perspective, is going to be able to dictate this game. I think Damian Martinez is going to be able to get the key runs to win this game, and then you have DJ throwing the throws at the end. Say if it's a 3rd down 5.
So, I mean, they are favored by 3 at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a very, very close game.
Or about 3 points, I should say.
And again, I think when you have an offense that's geared behind the run, like Oregon State does, and you have superior offensive line play, I think the key will be for Oregon State. They're going to have the ability to run the ball effectively because you have the superior offensive line against Washington State defensive line. And then all you're going to ask DJ to do is not make mistakes. And if again, like I said, if it's a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, make that one play. That's all you're asking DJ to do.
That's what a passing general QB has to do. He's just got to make that one play. And I agree with you. I think Washington State's going to lose this game, but it's more for I'm hoping the game style that the coach plays because he's got a great defense that's allowing 57 total rushing yards per game. That's great. And like 200 yards overall total. So that's a great defense. And if you've got that running back, like you say, and you do, he's got 350 yards this season. It's basically Baltimore Ravens football. You run it, you dink and dive, and you trust your defense.
So my concern though with Washington State though as well is that they're kind of a one-trick pony, right? I mean, Cameron Ward, he's a fantastic quarterback. Don't get me wrong, or fantastic college.
He's got like 1,000 yards and no interceptions.
But he's your leading runner too. So, so basically, you're going to ask him to throw and run against that Oregon State.
That's what they've asked him to do all year.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that working. I mean, it worked to an extent.
To me, Oregon State has a better defense than Wisconsin, so I think this is going to help contain them.
Well, I think they do.
Yeah,
it's going to contain them, so there's not like a 20-point lead that Wisconsin had to make up near the end of that game that they almost had to. And then, like you said, it's just it's going to be a batter of a game for Ward. We're going to see if he's Heisman capable.
Well, yeah. I mean, also, you're exactly right, Caleb. I mean, if somehow Washington State did win this game and Cameron Ward plays lights out, then sure as hell we're talking about a Heisman candidate here. But I don't. To me,
Jeff, we lost you.
Yep, lost you.
Come back to us, Jeff. Don't go to the light.
Come back. We miss you.
We're sorry about the Bengals.
Sorry, fun of them.
No,
I'm not. I'm not sorry.
Okay, Jeff's back, I think.
There he is. You back?
No. So what I was going to say is that
say it.
For the reasons I alluded to earlier, this is, to me, I think Oregon State came fairly easily. But if Washington State wins this game rather, and Cam Ward plays an outstanding game, then sure as hell you're talking about a Heisman Trophy.
And now if Ward gets out and they get that big lead, that's trouble for Oregon State because I'm not sure this team can come back. Their offense is good, but it's not designed to just score.
1,000%, Caleb. You're exactly right. So if somehow Oregon State were to get down early in this game, you're 100% right. This team is not built to come back and win. This is a team that takes a lead and builds on it. And so if they were to somehow go down early in this game, say if Washington State got an early 14-0 lead by some random, long run or turnover or something like that, 100% agree with the fact that you said that this is a game to where if Washington State went ahead 14-0, whether it be on a big turnover or a long run or something like that, this is going to be a team that most likely and will not come back because they're built to be the team that's ahead based on their style of play. So I 100% agree.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this segment up. A little break from college baseball or football. My bad. College football. Baseball to mine. Big coach is my son. So baseball is always on the mind. Take a break from college football, and we'll be back with everyone's favorite segment, What the F with Jeff. Be back in a few moments. What the f? And welcome back from the break. Great conversation there with the NFL and NCAA football. We're ready to get into everyone's favorite segment, What the F with Jeff. So, Jeff, what the F?
So, not to bring the environment down here, but we will do it. Or I will do it, rather. It's NFL stadium violence. There's a man in the New England Patriots game that was beaten to death during the Patriots-Dolphins Sunday night football game, and we saw instances around the league, not only in Foxborough.
Somebody, there was a
yes,
fight.
I texted you all that.
Game.
Yeah, I was about to say Jets-Cowboys game, and
there's no need for this. I mean,
no,
like I understand getting drunk and watching the game and stuff, but yeah, no, there's just no fucking need for that, especially the fucking Patriots, Eagle shit. You can't lose a wife over fucking football.
I feel so horrible for the wife in this New England situation. She said,
"Why for the rest of the family?
This is real. I want to know what happened, what caused this." Gillette officials said they were heartbroken about the death of Mr. Mooney. I don't know if I can find his first name right now, but regardless, is the fact that I think we're at a point now in NFL games. They're so important. It's almost to the point where we need rectangle sides the same. We can't have ovals anymore, because I know that the NFL stadiums won't go for this because there's too much money to be made.
Yeah.
But
have like an away and a home side type of thing, maybe segregate everybody.
This is a serious issue, and the English Premier League has done a great job of, and pretty much all soccer for that matter, has done a great job for segregating their fans and making sure there's not conflicts. But these NFL games are so big right now to where we cannot have fan interaction with other teams on the same sideline. And so
it doesn't happen in every stadium. Every stadium isn't like this.
Are you sure of that? Are you sure
of that?
We've got
5 different stadiums right here that it's happening.
We do have 5
we've just brought up examples
for that, but it hasn't been. We're not like. Yes, we hear about this every year. We don't hear about someone passing away, and
I was more somebody got
condolences to his family and what's happened with this and everything. But I mean, I've been to AT&T Stadium multiple times, and yeah, there were fights every single time we were there, and the majority of the time it was Cowboy fans fighting themselves, fighting other Cowboy fans. That's what happened. I mean, I'm not saying that it's right, but that's also what are we seeing at NFL stadiums, and what crowds are we seeing there?
So I'll ask you this, Chris, if you remember or not, were those fans that were on those? Were those the fans just diving in and being staying room only fans? Just by the way.
Oh, absolutely. It was party pass fans.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yep. There were people, party pass fans, that were fighting because it was standing room only. You came in.
Bump into somebody. Somebody spills a beer after somebody's drunk.
Well, we also got these tickets because we were pushing out the stage at halftime. That was what a bunch of us had gotten a link into, and we were able to go to different games for free. We got paid like $80 to push out the stage at halftime, and we got standing room only tickets. So you'd see everybody rush in the moment that the game opened.
Yeah, and it's horrible. Jerry promotes that, but
someone's gonna get trampled eventually.
People got trampled already. It already happened. It's just that wasn't the bad part. It was late in the game, third quarter or something. Fourth quarter.
That's not the bad part. Somebody's already been hurt and trampled. That's a bad thing.
Exactly. And that's the way that it is. And I'm not condoning any of this. I'm just giving my opinion of me being at the games when that happened. And you would always see someone drunk. And you know what? 95% of the time, it was actually a female fight, to be honest.
Not super wrong.
It was two females going against it because it was two. I'm not saying it has anything to do with anything. I'm just saying that's what I saw. It was a female fight. It was a female against a female getting mad at each other.
Fighting, another lady. I can't remember what team it was. Not too long ago.
Yeah, what I saw, it was two Cowboy fans that were female that got into a fight with each other, and everybody tried to pull them off. And I actually talked to one of my coworkers about this just yesterday. Talking about, hey, there was this fan in Foxborough that got killed getting into a fight by a Miami fan.
That's the impetus of bringing this up because
it is
a Patriot fan got killed yesterday.
He got killed during Sunday Night Football at the game.
Crazy thing.
Well, security is to blame for that, and we were talking about it. He told me, he goes, well, did you hear about that there was a Browns fan that came to Steelers game and he made it sound like it was the most recent game, and he got thrown off the top tier. And I go, no, I didn't hear about that. Well, I went and did research about it, and I haven't heard anything about it. So I think maybe he was just maybe it was something maybe happened years ago. Maybe he made it to me sound like it was in the Monday night game, because this was Tuesday. I was over there, so I hadn't heard that a Steelers fan. So I went and did my research, did my looking through before I came out and said, hey, did my due diligence. I couldn't find anything online about it. So, but at the same time, he's not a big sports fan. He's not, but he follows what stories are being put out there. So that's showing what's being put out there is that, okay, people are being injured. People are, why is it safety? He even goes, why would I even go to a sporting event? There's no reason, because I'm going to be harassed when I go there.
You've got that lately. I mean, even NBA games there's shots being fired after at one of the Dallas games, I think, last year.
Yes.
You've got fights breaking out at several stadiums after the games.
And all of this, I go, well, I just took my son the Saturday pass to a Pirates game. And my son and my father-in-law were Yankees hats the whole time we were there. And we were not hassled. Nothing was said to us. Nothing derogatory was said to us.
To me, as long as it's not a playoff game, baseball is the most chill sporting event to go to, and technically the safest if you're going to call it the safest.
I know. And the scary thing is, to me, about that is like, what that game, for Pittsburgh, for example, they're not going to be continuing the playoffs.
Well, neither were the Yankees. Neither team.
That's my point. So that's my point. So what if it was a competitive game? What if it did determine a wild card?
Even then, it's a non-conference game. It's not gonna, even if they were needing to win, I don't think they would be all over the Yankee fans who were there, because the Yankee fans travel everywhere the Yankees go. They are going to travel. I mean, I was surprised we were able to get tickets for $37 a pop. Sure. But that's because the Pirates aren't good. But at the same time, now, if you would have worn, if my son and my father-in-law would have been wearing Yankee stuff and we went to Fenway, completely different atmosphere, completely different situation.
Right, but just
because it's Fenway over Pittsburgh. It's Boston over Pittsburgh.
But think about what if you brought your kids to watch you invite them to go to Philadelphia, for example, or hell, Pittsburgh, and you're wearing Cowboys paraphernalia, then what's going to happen?
Pittsburgh, I think it'll be fine, but don't do it in Philly. Don't do it in Philly.
That's the thing. That's the thing. In living in Pittsburgh, as long as I have, in Pittsburgh, they will talk trash to you. But they'll be laughing while they do it. And they will not try to fight you over it. But they will talk trash the entire time.
But there could be that one guy. Guy, though.
Well, there always could be that one guy.
Yeah, but
the thing is,
a scenario that can just be played for
I know that. But here, knowing, and also with myself telling everyone I'm a Cowboy fan when I meet them, and I get boos. That's it. After that, it's respect. Exactly. I don't expect anything less. In Philly, I could tell them I'm a Cowboy fan, they'll key my car and then try to be nice to me afterwards. You don't get that in Pittsburgh. It's a complete, like, Pittsburgh and Philly are in the same state, but they are two separate entities when it comes to it. Now, if you want
risky opposition, man,
do you want the closest to Philly fans you'll get into the city is Toronto. Because Toronto is the Philadelphia of Canada.
Yeah, because they want to be in America.
They want to be, but they're not.
Exactly.
They're in Canada.
No, but I just think you're selling fans too short. So what you're saying?
How do you think I've been selling them too short? How do you think I'm selling them too short?
My point is that you think there's no solution to this, and we're supposed to deal with it.
Well, I'm not saying there's no
increase for sure.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that there's no solution to it. I'm saying that there are certain areas that are going to be more prone to this than others. Like, unfortunately, when, like, in our first conversations, in our pre-conversations, our pre-talk about it, you know, Caleb wrote, was it Philly and New England? Because that's who automatically you'd think it would be.
No, but it was the Miami, New England.
But it wasn't. It was Miami, New England. In New England, it was a New England season ticket holder and a Miami fan. That's a surprise. So I'm not saying, we need to worry about all this right here. Yes, there are certain areas you need to worry about more. There's a reason why Philadelphia for years has had a freaking brig, jail cell underneath their stadium because of things they did. I mean, they threw snowballs,
Santa's, batteries and snowballs.
They booed Santa. They threw snowballs with batteries in them.
Brought it up because in the vet they had a jail cell for that.
Exactly. So I mean, this is not a worry about every statement. I mean, my personal experience when my wife and I first started dating, the Cowboys and the Jets were playing in Dallas.
Yeah, I thought about that game. I thought about that.
My future mother-in-law was like, you guys shouldn't go. She shouldn't wear a jersey. She's going to get in trouble. She wore her Mark Sanchez Jets jersey.
Well, first off, that's because people laughed at that one and said butt fumble.
Absolutely.
I mean, but it's also like, it depends on the team. Like, Jets, Cowboys ain't going to give you jack. You're wearing 49ers. You're wearing some of the others.
She brought the Mark Sanchez jersey because we had a bet. She brought that, and I brought my Tony Romo as the bet because whoever won had to, whichever team, if Cowboys won, she had to wear mine. Jets won, I had to wear hers. Those are the jerseys we brought for us to win. I think she wore her Curtis Martin jersey, if I remember right. Which Curtis Martin, no one can fault him. I was wearing a Jason Witten jersey. And
I think that's like 5 or 6 years ago. I remember that.
Oh, this was a long time ago. This is quite a bit ago, right before
be
we moved up here.
No, it was actually, I take that back.
7 years ago. I think it was 7 years ago. And Jets, and when we got there, as we came in, she goes, "Oh, my mother's worried about me wearing a Jets jersey and people talking trash." And as I told her, I go, "You don't have to worry. If you're wearing a Giants jersey, you would get more shit. The Jets jersey, they're just going to go, oh, you're a Jets fan. I'm sorry." And we ended up.
Let me buy you a drink. Sorry.
And we were in the standing room.
One of the most tame stadiums, but go ahead. Sorry.
I agree. Unless they're fighting with each other. Because every time I've been there, they fight with each other. They don't fight with the other fans. They fight with each other.
Well, that's kind of Dallas's MO. They don't usually fight the other fans. It's usually just fight each other.
But while we were there, we ended up meeting a bunch of New York City police officers, all wearing Jets jerseys, in the standing room only. And 2 of them were Cowboy fans.
But
we ended up hanging out with them the whole time. And we had a great time. And they go, "Hey, why are you holding jerseys? You all together?" "Oh, we're dating. Oh, and we have a bet on this game where if the Jets win, my boyfriend has to wear the Mark Sanchez jersey. If the Cowboys win, I have to wear the Tony Romo jersey." And we had a great time with them. So if anybody even wanted to start shit with us, we had in New York City police officers right there with us.
Well, true.
Just calm it down.
But not everyone has.
Everyone doesn't have that. And I'm not saying like we came in knowing that. That just was a lucky coincidence. You don't go to a game and expect to meet 12 NYPD officers at a Cowboys game in Arlington. You don't expect that. That's just something you walk into and you don't have to worry about.
I think this is a product of environment. Certain stadiums and towns are just built to have more violence. Like I said, Philly has a freaking cell built into their stadium as an amenity. You've also got the fact that you've got history between certain teams. So some of that feeds into it as well. You've got age of people, you have alcohol. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
Huge aspect in it, and also goes into the fans that are going to be there. Because the same
that's why I go back to environment. I'm saying there's certain places where it's going to get more rowdy, but then you add on the history, rivalries, in conference and division games type of things, and then you throw alcohol on top of it, you're lighting fires. So the NFL does need to be aware of it and make the appropriate adjustments. But
those same fans going to NFL fans and getting drunk and getting into fights aren't going to tennis matches.
That's what I'm saying. It's environment.
They're not going to golf matches. They're not going to baseball games. No. It's environment. It's what you're bringing. And
that's why he's brought up the NFL specific. He didn't say Tennessee stadium violence. He didn't say MLB stadium violence. He said NFL game violence.
I know. Exactly. I agree with that. And that's why I'm bringing up that whole aspect that I agree with it. NFL. You don't have these other sports that are coming with it. So this is the reason why.
Too is hockey doesn't seem to have this problem. I mean, I've heard a few fights and stuff in there, more in the playoffs. But to me, hockey doesn't have the same aura of let's go fight as the NFL has kind of picked up here recently, unfortunately. Whether it be Dallas fighting Dallas or women fighting women, whatever.
So what's happened is that these games are, again, as I addressed you earlier, it's just the fact that these are huge games. These are like English Premier League games to where people freak out and they don't know how to handle themselves. And so it's gotten to a point to me now where to prevent violence, do we need to have, I mean, these teams are already built, so I know it's a moot point, but I mean, do we need to have like rectangle stadiums, or do we need to have
You could make adjustments, like you're going to increase guards, you're going to get lights, cameras, security robots, AI, all that stuff can be added.
But do we need to have like stadium barriers to where it's only one side on one and one side on the other? Because
that's going to lead to the same thing soccer initially had, where people were knocking over the barriers and people were getting trapped and dying.
That was a little bit of a different scenario.
You can't regulate stupid. You can't regulate stupid.
That's the one sad part, is you can't regulate stupid.
At the end of the day,
you could have fights amongst your own fan base for sure. Absolutely. So,
at the end of the day, you can't regulate stupid, and it just shows like the fans of that you have to worry about fighting more are the leagues that are going to have to worry more about that, as we've been talking about with baseball. How many baseball fights do you see out in the stands? Very rare. It's very rare because, and I can tell you right now, here in Pittsburgh, you never see it because they're not in contention. So the only
There's a lot
people
of
that are coming to there are the people that are coming are just fans of baseball. They just want to watch the game. They don't care about. Yeah, if the Pirates get beat, they already expect that, so they don't care. They just want to watch. They just want to watch baseball. They're fans of the game. So I can only speak from my personal experience. I can't speak from somebody else's experience because I don't know how they feel. That's just what I can speak from. But from my experience, if you don't feel safe going to a game, I'm not going to go. And a good segment there with What the F with Jeff. We're now ready to go into Sports Gumbo. And really, honestly, our Sports Gumbo this week is really just focused in on Major League Baseball and Rangers. So really, instead of Sports Gumbo, we should just say it's a MLB segment because that's really about all we have to talk about here. So going in here into the MLB, I mean, Atlanta's hot. Of course they are. They've been staying the way. Atlanta and the Dodgers are the two best teams in the National League, probably the best two teams in baseball right now. They'll have to play each other to get to the World Series. But the Rangers, even with we lost Matt Scherzer. We talked about that last week. It's been doom and gloom, but still, with all the doom and gloom, we're only a half game out from the division. And
Nolas Garcia and Josh Jung have returned to save us.
They both have returned. We have our bats coming back in here. If that's going to help, I hope it does. We'll see how it goes. But I want to play a little what if. And we talked about this earlier in the pre-conversation, but we're going to get it here on the air. If the Rangers make wild card game, they don't win the division, they get to the wild card game, win or get in situation, who is your pitcher that you're going to put up to win that game for you? And why?
Right now, I'd have to say Montgomery. He's been the most reliable guy you've got. He's a left-hander. Lefties are notoriously hard for most lineups and staffs compared to your right-handers, which they see more often. But, I mean, I just got to go Montgomery.
I would also have to go with Montgomery as well. I mean, and for the reasons that Caleb, you alluded to as well. But the thing is, he's been the best player he's the best pitcher right now. Plain and simple.
Well, my quick question before I give you my answer is, does your answer change pending who they end up going against?
I would think so.
No, absolutely not. Because we don't unfortunately, Chris, in my opinion, we don't have that luxury. We don't have the luxury of saying, like, what pitcher is good against this best team.
Well,
Because
what do you mean we don't have the luxury? Because we're a half game out of the division. I'm saying a hypothetical. We don't win the division and we go in the wild card. Who do we play? So how do you say we don't have the luxury? Because we're a half game out of the division. We could be hit. We could end up winning the division, not needing it.
No. Look, we don't have the luxury of picking who's best for a situation. We have to throw our best pitcher out there, and that's Jordan Montgomery. Anyone else, I don't trust out there. I don't trust Evaldi.
You don't trust Evaldi out there?
No, I really don't.
No, not Evaldi right now.
After his injury, and I don't trust Tate.
You gotta have a game to prove it.
Okay, so if you go against a team that is belting left-handers left and right like Tampa Bay, you're going to throw Montgomery out there, who's going to get belted around by left-hand, where they're knocking left-handers left and right, but Evaldi's had great success around.
No,
that's why I think you gotta pick and choose.
No. I will do Montgomery because he's the best pitcher right now, and he's the only one that's consistently reliable. And so what you need in the playoffs, as we've seen time and time again, need to have pitching to be successful in the playoffs.
So you against Tampa in the first round, where they are teeing off on left-handed batters and have shown it left and right they can do it. You're going to go ahead and not throw Evaldi out there?
No, you don't throw Evaldi. You throw Dave Dunning. That's who you throw out there. You throw Dave Dunning out there.
No, I don't. But I don't trust Dave Dunning either.
I'd trust him
I'm telling you right now, if I go against
Evaldi, where I'm not sure what I'm getting. But Montgomery is definitely first choice. But if you're having to pick on something like that, I think you got to go David Dunning if it's a lineup.
If I'm going against Tampa Bay, I'm throwing Evaldi out there because of what he did previous in the season. I'm going to give him the trust that I gave him earlier and let him prove himself right there. That's what I'm going to do if I go against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay only.
Okay.
Because of the way that they tee off on left-handed hitters.
No.
You can know what you want to. Everybody else after that, I'm going to go throw Montgomery out there because you have the southpaw to throw against them. But Tampa Bay tees off against that left-handed hitting, that left-handed pitching. That's what they do. They're very, very good at it. So why am I going to give them an opportunity to succeed?
Because Jordan Montgomery's your best pitcher. That's why.
He is. However, is he best in that situation? When I could then win with Nathan Evaldi and then put Jordan Montgomery as my first starter against the next round of whoever else after that.
Have you seen Evaldi play lately? Have you seen him come back from injury?
And who's saying he's not going to be Who's saying he's going to be terrible against Tampa Bay? He's played great against Tampa Bay. What's saying he's not going to play terrible against him?
He's not responded back from injury quite good yet. I mean, maybe we have this conversation in 2 weeks, and sure.
I want to see more from Evaldi before I trust him with the ball. But
in 2 weeks, we can have this conversation again. We can see his next couple starts and see how he's doing. But I'm just saying that he is A, close to home. B, he's going against a better situation. I could see it going better than Montgomery.
Oh, okay then. So, but I just don't see what you see in the sample size that we've seen. To me, Montgomery is the best by far.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we're gonna have different opinions.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I'm saving Dave Dunning if it's a right-hander or Montgomery.
I'm talking about. This also comes down to if we play Tampa Bay in the wild card. This is a very specific situation that we're discussing at the moment. So it's not saying, oh, yeah, we made the wild card. I want Evalde to be the pitcher no matter what. That's not what I'm saying. I specifically said a specific team.
That's what I'm trying to explain to Jeff. Like, it's okay. Yeah. We're different. And
that's what I'm telling him right now, a specific team. Go get a different – we go get somebody else besides – like, I specifically have said the Rays. I have not brought up another team but the Rays.
The Orioles are going Montgomery, right?
The Orioles, I'm going Montgomery. Hands down. I'm talking specifically the Rays. That's what I was specifically talking about.
I understand.
Because that's who I could see us matching up with in the wild card. Because the Rays, because the Orioles, I still think with the Orioles they've been, I still think they're going to win their division.
Do you really think the discrepancy between lefty and righty is that big to where you would start?
Baseball's all stats, though. If Bucci's old school, if he looks at it and says, hey, you know what? They're killing left-handed, let me throw a right-hander at him.
I think it's worth the conversation.
Now, as long as you don't have a wild card
if it wasn't worth the conversation, I wouldn't bring it up. I still think it's worth the conversation. And honestly, I think Bochy would bring up the conversation because he is old school, where he's going to look at how are they hitting off the left-hand pitchers, how they hit off the right-hand pitchers.
He'll do that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm
so why wouldn't he? There. So if he's going to do it, why shouldn't we have that conversation?
Because these old school managers are too much about all the lefty and righty scenarios. This is, to me, the best.
There's a reason they work.
No. It used to, but it's not. You can't blindly do that like you did the old school.
We're not blindly looking at it. We're just saying that in this situation, you come up against a lineup who bats really well against left-handed pitchers. So why wouldn't you throw your right-handed pitcher out there? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, my point is that to me, I would throw Jordan Montgomery or Martin Perez out there. Throw the lefty
Martin Perez. Get out of here. If it's Martin Perez, we're going home. Sorry.
I'm talking about game one of the series, but y'all just wanted.
Well, you hope it's a wild card series and not the wild card play-in one.
No, there's not going to be no wild card play-in. So
if we tie one of these other teams for lower the bottom and decide who's going to be that third wild card, we could.
Yeah, but my point is that I don't think Evalde is healthy yet, so we can't even count on him at this point.
I mean, the most they've had in pitch is
I think he
5-6 innings.
I'm counting on him.
That's a full load now.
Evalde doesn't look healthy to me. Have you all seen a healthy Evalde? I sure saw him.
I don't have Diamond Sports Group. No, I can't see him.
Exactly.
Well,
I'm in Pittsburgh. I can't
look healthy. Well, I'll tell you what. I saw him.
Tell us how he
looks. He doesn't look healthy.
Yes, but at the same time, he should be healthy. He should be fine. And yes, that's a lot of what ifs. That's a lot of what ifs. But at the same time, I can't sit here and throw out, a left-hander when I know that they get teed off on. As a manager, you have to fucking play the game, and sometimes you have to play that. Is this guy going to be healthy enough or not? That's what you have to do. That's part of it. That's baseball.
Oh, okay. So we're just going to throw out garbage can because needs a right-hand pitcher?
Sure.
How many times have we seen a garbage can pitcher thrown out, which has been a younger guy, pulled up from the minors, probably the day before, and said, hey, guess what? You're pitching tomorrow. Get ready. How many times does that happen in the pros? It happens all the fucking time. You have to
Not
be
in
ready to
playoff
go
scenarios,
at any point. Even playoff scenarios, that's happened.
Oh,
There's been injuries. You can't say
injuries,
there
they
hasn't
go to
been
the
injuries.
next guy in the order. They just go to pitcher number 2. They move a guy the day up.
Yeah, not with the pitch counts that they're doing. Are you kidding me? They pull
That's
up
what
people
they've always
from.
done.
They pull.
They
people
don't say,
up
"Oh,
from
minor league guy, come on up." No.
Well, you're not saying that it's a minor league guy that they haven't been tracking for fucking months. They haven't looked at, brought in. They could bring in for a spot start. For a spot start, they would bring him up for a spot start if they didn't have anybody else. Absolutely not.
They're not.
But my opinion.
So they're not going to sacrifice a spot start for one guy to take off their other guys off their pitching rotations because of the way
and the history of the game that I've never seen in playoffs.
The way that the game is right now, that they're so worried about pitch counts, they're so worried about the way guys manage
once
their time.
Playoffs,
they're not going to
sacrifice. They just say,
"They're not going to sacrifice one
Kurt
game."
Schilling's bloody sock will just tell you
game.
No.
Well, that bloody sock was in 2004. That was a long time ago. They don't do that anymore now. No, trust me, they should just disregard it, but they don't disregard it anymore.
I'll say disregard this.
We'll see when it goes.
Raiders won't make the fucking playoffs, so this could be null and void to begin.
Are you back on that bandwagon now?
Yeah.
Yes, you're back. You went to a different sport. We're talking baseball.
I said that.
He says the Rangers aren't making the playoff.
Raiders aren't.
I know you said earlier. Okay, Raiders aren't making the playoffs. I agree with you. The Raiders aren't making the playoffs.
Yeah, the Rangers will make the playoffs.
But if they do, I'll say this though. I agree.
Did you say Rangers or Raiders?
Rangers.
Oh, okay. It would sound like you were saying the Raiders. I was like, I agree. The Raiders won't make the playoffs.
You're right. So
no, you enunciate. It's called enunciation. Enunciation. Diction. Asshole.
So my point is that even if
slow up on the MD 2020. Anyways,
I want to see how this next series against Seattle goes. That's what I want to see.
He ain't arguing.
Fuck you. God.
Tell me how you're ready.
The thing is, anyways, I think.
What are you? We broke him.
Wrap it up, Slippy.
Reporter broke him.
I hate you.
Get your point out.
No, I tried to, but you broke me, damn it.
Well, not my fault, Slappy.
No, my wife is Slappy, not me.
Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go.
All right. So my point is that the thing is, you start if we somehow do make the wild card. You start with the best pitcher possible, and that's Jordan Montgomery, hands down. It's not even close. And then if
it's not close. He's our best pitcher, but you still got to base your lineups and shit.
And if you want to do the whole righty bullshit, to me, then you go to Dane Dunning. You don't go.
But Dunning hasn't looked solid at all recently. He has not.
His last game, he pitched 5 innings, 6 hits allowed, 0 earned run, 5 strikeouts, and 3 walks.
Okay.
Well, then he gave up 3. The Houston game was a disaster, though.
No, and 6 hits are very good. 6 hits are very, very.
Houston's had our numbers.
Yeah.
6 hits are very, very concerning. But the reality is, he didn't give up any runs there. So you just gotta go with your best guy. We're screwed. This season's over.
Well, it's screwed because of
Get
what
outta
happened, the injuries.
here.
But at the same time, you're going to sit there and shit all over Evaldi with what he did at the beginning of the season, where I remember you saying, "Oh, he's the best pitcher in the league."
I think we
Because
just
he
want to
was.
see more.
Because he was. He
He
was
was.
at the time.
So
But
you're going to shit all over him
changed.
after injury. You're not going to give him an
We're
opportunity.
going to Drew Bledsoe.
Things-
Yes, we're going to Drew Bledsoe in, Porter.
Things
Give
change.
him a chance. Give him another
Things
chance.
change. Things change.
Yes, they do change because it's called injuries and coming back from it.
Exactly.
He didn't look
We
good
don't
when he
know
first
how
came back
he's
to
gonna
it. He's
come
looked
back
better,
from
but
it.
we'll see how it goes.
And then you
I'd
think
say
like
let
he's
me
going to
see
come
in
back
another week and
100%.
see how he is.
Oh yeah, I see you're laughing there now. But
Give him a moment. Give the asshole a chance. God, you're not even giving him a chance. You're not giving him any chance. You're completely like, fuck him. He's done. You completely shut the gate. And that's the whole thing is that you can't always shut the gate. I learned that working in construction is sometimes you can't just sit there and say, fuck them. I'm done with them. I will never work with them again. Can't do that again because you may need them. There may be a situation comes up that you may need someone. So you need to
I
actually
don't
work
know if
on
Jeff's
Okay,
written off Evaldi. I'm not writing off Evaldi. I just want to see more before I say let's do it. Otherwise, I'm
Jeff's,
going Dave
I know
Dunn as
you
my
have
man.
it. Jeff's written off Evaldi. He's done with him. He's completely done with him.
He's also
out.
done with the
He's out.
Rangers as a team. He's
True.
just done with them.
No. We need to see him play more. So, and also too, do you want to start Jonathan Gray out there? Do you want to do that, guys? You think that's a lot of fun? No, I don't think it's.
Why
good to
nobody
see
brought him
Jonathan
up is
Gray
because the
play.
answer is no.
No.
We
No,
both
I didn't
started.
bring him up. I brought
know.
up two people. I brought up Montgomery and Evaldi. Those are the
Now
only
you're
two I
slandering
brought up because
Evaldi if you're
those are the
talking
only
about
two
if you're
because you have a
comparing him to
left-hander
John
and a
Gray.
right-hander.
Now you're slandering Evaldi for sure.
Jordan
All right, the
Montgomery.
fact that you said Martin Perez.
Jordan Montgomery's the best pitcher out there, and you just start him immediately because I don't care the matchups. He's the best pitcher you
I don't
fucking
know, whatever.
got.
We beat that
But he
one
hasn't
to
had a
death.
good record in the last times he's been with the team. He
Oh.
hasn't had a fucking stellar record. It's not like he's
Because
fucking.
the bullpen fucking blew it.
Neither has a
Chris.
Baldy. Baldy hasn't
bullpen
been great the few
fucking
times he's
blew
been
it.
out there either, though.
Exactly. So you can't sit there and say, "Oh, he's the best pitcher we have right there," because what he's done, doesn't have a great record. If he was doing great, he would have continued later on. And I'm playing the complete opposite side. I'm playing the straw man on the other side. It's not that I am hating against Montgomery because I love him. I think he's doing great.
Right now
I'm
you're
so
playing
happy
the
we got
straight
for
man,
him.
the comedian
But I'm playing the
joke.
straw man because at that same time, we can't just fully go
You're
on
talking
overgo
about pitch counts and
Montgomery.
him going longer. Montgomery has
You're gonna
pitched
judge
7
guy
innings
on
in at least
record.
the last 2
You're gonna
games
judge
with 8
guy on
strikeouts
record.
last game.
Yes. Yes, if we go
That's
against a
best
team that hits
record.
against left-handed pitchers, and there have been times that Montgomery has got batted around, we need to play against the right setups. Because
So does
we
every
played
other-
Montgomery against Tampa Bay, and he got batted around. Look it
He
up.
got batted around by Oakland, too. Unless it's
He
5
did.
innings in
He
that
got
one.
batted around by Oakland. So I'm saying they need to set up
Yeah.
the best situation with it.
Yes.
I'm not.
Come on.
I'm playing the hill. I agree.
We all picked him to
Montgomery
go, assuming
Montgomery is our best pitcher. I've said it for everyone to hear it. Montgomery is our best pitcher.
And that's why you start him in the fucking playoffs.
Unless
Not if he
you
doesn't have a
play
favorable
against
lineup.
a team that he has been knocked around against, then you don't do it. You have to go with the stats on that.
And then
If he
who
goes
you
against a
start
team
Dunning?
that's
You
had his
start
number.
Dunning? You start Dunning? I would start Dunning then if you're
No, I'm gonna
do
start
that.
Evaldi
Well, I'm
over
with Jeff
Dunning.
at this point, but I want to see what Evaldi
I'm
does the last
starting
few games, 'cause
Evaldi
that could
over
change my
Dunning.
mind.
I'm already starting Evaldi over Dunning.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. With how
Everyone's
great
sending their
he's
picks to
looked.
Bruce Bochy and see if he gives a
How
shit
great
what we
he's
say.
looked.
We have our
Great
picks.
he's looked
We have our
for
picks set
Sacramento.
out.
Exactly. We have our picks. It's in video.
As great he looked.
Exactly.
As great he has freaking looked since he came back from injury. Yeah.
Montgomery, as long as we're going against a team that doesn't bat around on left-handed batting, then yes, Montgomery is my starter, hands down. If he's not, I'm going to Valde, Dunning after that.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes as we get into the playoffs. Anyways, I would like to thank everyone for joining us here for this podcast. I know we got a little heated here at the end, but you know what? That's the way that it goes. You know, we get to have a good conversation at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, we're still friends, right, Jeff? We are. I'm just kidding. We are still friends at the end of the day, and we still talk to each other. It's always a great time. So we'd like to thank everyone for joining us here this evening. Once again, another great podcast. Supporter, thank you for everyone, for Caleb Culver, for Jeff Amos. Thank you for joining us. We'd like you to, hey, if you have any comments you want to put into, let us know what you think we're doing wrong, what you want us to talk about in the next episode. Please comment. Please let us know. And I'm going to send a little thank you out to someone who I know has been listening to us, and we're going to confirm this to make sure. I want to say hi to David Hitt, because he's been calling out that he's been listening to us. So we're going to find out for sure. Hey, we're going to find out for sure if he has been listening to us. If he has, he will let me know. He'll let us know that he's been listening, because he got a little call out. Good for you, David Hitt.
Don't worry.
David Hitt, we know you've been calling out us, so we want to make sure if you've been listening or not. So let us know if you have been. And other than that, we want to thank everybody else. And hey, another great day, another great episode, and we'll see everyone next week on Next Round Sports. Cheers, everyone.
Go Rangers.